Hot Dog Sports Radio. Patrick Meagher, Dustin Swedelson, VSiN Live.
Who's punched their ticket into the dance, the field of 68. You got three more conferences to punch today: Southland, Patriot, Big Sky. Underway today as well, the Big Ten, the Big East, and the SEC. So some big boys about to get underway. Marquee matchup today, Oklahoma and Georgia. SEC, two teams on the bubble. So we'll get started there. We'll transition over to the NFL as we say hi. I'm Patrick Meagher. Live from Los Angeles, the big guy, Dustin Swedelson, Las Vegas, along with Ryan Smith. We've got Naya back in New York City. Those of you following along on YouTube, thank you. You can follow us. Go to the VSiN.com YouTube page. VSiN Live is the stream. And give us a sub, give us a thumbs up. We appreciate that. You can also get involved tonight. It's going to be a busy night in the Discord. The family bets, as we've got a ton going on, man. This is a very busy day. And as we say hi to the big guy, we got Aaron Halterman, Noops, Peterson. I was going to say Peterson because Hoops. We got Noops coming on to talk NBA. We got Matt McCall, former coach at a couple of programs and does a great job talking about the college basketball. But we do have a gift, and I'd like to start here. We have a gift in the NBA coming up in about 26 minutes, and this is for the bettors out there. You have an opportunity to take Oklahoma City catching 3 points. And they're in Boston tonight, so this could potentially be a preview of the NBA Finals. But I'm going to tell you something right now. The wrong team is favored. It's not even close. Oklahoma City, I bet them money line, plus 130. I feel great about it. Dustin, let's go. Oklahoma City, much better team. Gift.
I agree with you, and I'm not high on this Thunder team. Like, I don't think they're a special.
But you're not high on them because you're just stubborn. You don't know anything about them. You decided you didn't like them, and you're doubling down, and they're incredible.
Yes, but everyone else is saying the opposite, so I'm doing this. I don't want to be a part of the people that are just assuming Oklahoma City's going to be there in the end. I think they have flaws. I think everyone has flaws, but in this spot, with no Porzingis, that size, that shooting from the outside, Boston, coming off that Lakers win, they did, easy work with Utah the next day. For Oklahoma City, coming off the split with Denver, I like the chip on my shoulder. I like that. And you look this year from the betting numbers, Boston is not a good against the spread. 45.3% cover rate, just 44.1% at home. Whereas the Thunder, that's your second best team covering the number at 61.3%. And they're really good on the road, 58.6%. I like Oklahoma City. Give me the points here. They're going to, if not win, make this a very close game.
Sounds like you bought in on Oklahoma City after all that. I appreciate it. I'm in on them as well. So we're going to bet them as a family tonight. Oklahoma City. Speaking of the family, how about Colorado? Colorado picked up a win today. I texted Steve Torrey. He's not too fired up. Now, it's a terrible Colorado team, and they're going to need a miracle because, as I said to Torrey, I said, how about Colorado picking up a dub? They continue to roll. And he said they didn't quit on Tad because they beat West Virginia today 67-60. Now, West Virginia was on the bubble, and they didn't quit in the Big 12. But then Steve said Houston tomorrow. So, obviously, they may as well be playing Oklahoma City if you were Colorado because Houston's that good. So, most likely the run comes to an end. But a couple of wins in the Big 12 tournament for Tad and Colorado. Elsewhere, like I mentioned, big guy, the big matchup tonight is going to be Georgia and Oklahoma, two teams on the bubble. Just underway right now in the Big 12, Kansas State and Baylor. You've got halftime in the Big 10, Iowa, Ohio State. Ohio State on the bubble, tied up at 37, so Ohio State's going to need that one.
So real quick, I do have an official play on the Patriot League final. I know it's random, but I think when it comes to betting, we have to learn lessons. And last night, you and I both like St. Mary's in a spot to win their third game this season against Gonzaga. We have a similar situation brewing with Navy and American. So Navy, by the way, was the number 5 seed in the Patriot League. They knocked off number 1 Bucknell. they're not supposed to be here. They also happened to sweep the regular season series with American. This would be Navy's first Patriot League title since 1998, just to tell you where that program has been. American went 12-2 overall at home. This game is at home at Bender Arena. And at home, they score more, they shoot better. One of those two losses was to Navy. We're going to lay the 4 with American because similar to last night, I don't see a team knocking down an in-conference foe 3 times in one season. Lay the 4.
All righty, there you have it. We'll keep you updated on the college hoops as conference tournaments. Remember, Selection Sunday coming up on Sunday. You can get everything for free over at VSiN.com/Champ Week. Get the picks all the way through Selection Sunday. Now, as we transition to the NFL and free agency, remember, free agency officially got going today on this Wednesday, March 12th, and it's now official. I like to read. I'm going to read you what Schefter wrote to give you an idea where it's one man's trash is another man's treasure, because the Jets have officially released Aaron Rodgers. So the Jets will take on $49 million in dead money by releasing Rodgers. He's being designated as a post-June 1 cut, meaning they'll carry his $21 million cap hit until June 1st. When it drops to $14 million, they'll save $7 million. But they then will absorb a $35 million dead cap hit in 2026. So we are talking about where Aaron Rodgers is going to end up, like it matters, like it's going to have an impact. When the Jets said, we'll take on $14 million this year against the cap, $35 in dead money next year against the cap, so he doesn't play here. and we talk desperation and obviously money being a hell of a drug. So whether or not he ends up with the Steelers or the Giants, it could be fascinating that neither want him. He may not have options because Cleveland now, it appears Kirk Cousins could eventually end up with Cleveland. Remember, Cousins was in Minnesota with Stefanski, who's the head coach in Cleveland. And Schefter just reported not too long ago that Russell Wilson is flying to Cleveland. So Cleveland is digging at the bottom of the barrel, looking for a quarterback, whether it's going to be Cousins coming off an injury and being old, and Russell Wilson coming off being Russell Wilson with Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh didn't want Russell Wilson. Atlanta decided to go with Penix. The Jets said, we'll pay a ton of cash and hinder ourselves moving forward just so Rodgers gets out of the building. The Giants head coach and general manager trying to save their job, so they're trying to move up to grab Cam Ward. They think Rodgers can help them because they don't have to pay him a ton of money, potentially 1 year, keep their job. The Pittsburgh Steelers didn't want Justin Fields. The Jets, who just gave up on Rodgers and said we'll absorb the cap hit, did want Justin Fields. Sam Darnold, who's basic, got signed 3-year deal. Geno Smith, who's better, got shipped to the Raiders. And now potentially Rodgers ends up with the Steelers when he said he only wants to play on the West Coast with a team that wants him in the NL West. So that is free agency in a nutshell.
We only have so many jobs. There's so many opportunities for these quarterbacks, right? That's why they're desperate. There's only a few teams that are in this market. I'm curious what the price is going to be for Aaron Rodgers, because the reports today were pretty wild saying that it's not about the money. It's not about.
Why would it be about? I don't understand that notion, because we talked about it earlier. Why would it be about the money? He doesn't. Why would he care about money at this point?
No, the Jets are paying him not to be there. So Correct. He's getting money. So he's paid.
No, Rodgers is playing football at 41 because he maybe loves the sport, but he wants to bolster. He still thinks he can bolster his reputation and his legacy. That's the only reason he's playing. He'll pay you. Like I said, Pete Carroll would have paid the Raiders to coach there. He'll pay somebody to go play quarterback.
No, and he cares about what he's thought of.
Radio hosts that pay to be on the air. The people will do this.
Yeah, he cares.
Brick.
He cares what people think about him. That's the biggest thing. That's why he's doing this. He cares about his legacy. He cares that he gets another chance to prove he's better than he's been while he's been hurt the last couple of years. That's all this is. The more and more this goes on, I don't see the Vikings happening as much as I want that to be the way he goes out. I think it's the best opportunity to see a little bit of what he used to be. But if I was going to put a number on what's the percent that Aaron Rodgers is good enough to quarterback a playoff team next year, I'd put it at about 13%.
13% what?
13% chance he has enough left to quarterback a playoff team.
All right, what am I supposed to do with that percentage? How
But
did you
that's
come up with 13? Not
'cause
12,
I didn't
not
want
14?
I had 10 was a little too low. I thought 15 was too high. 13 felt right. Give him a little bit of respect there. But I don't believe the guy is still in there. I don't believe he's capable. I think a lot of us are getting caught up in numbers. Statistics with quarterbacks are so overrated. He was on a losing football team that in the fourth quarter had to throw from behind over and over again. So that's why his stats look good. He looked slow. His decision-making looked a step off. He didn't get rid of the ball like he used to. He is not the same player. I don't understand why a team that thinks that they're going to make the playoffs is settling for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, so this is fascinating fall as far as a fall from grace. 2 years ago, the Jets gave up multiple picks and extended Aaron Rodgers 3 years, $112.5 million. They went 5-11 last year, and now they're paying against the cap $49 million for him to go away. That is that is quite a deal. That's the reason Joe Douglas, the general manager that made the move, is gone, and Rodgers got Saleh fired, and Tomlin has enough FU equity where Rodgers isn't going to get him fired. But you're also bringing that into the mix, and that's what we have to understand. And that's what you have to understand if you're Cleveland with Russell Wilson as well. Like, this is the Spider-Man meme of Rodgers. Maybe Rodgers is a little better, but this is Rodgers and Wilson pointing back at one another. They're both annoying, and nobody in Pittsburgh in that locker room wanted Russell Wilson to stick around, or he would be.
From a Cleveland perspective, would you – obviously there's the Watson thing. He's done. He's got the Achilles. Would you rather next year with Kevin Stefanski's abilities have Kenny Pickett or Rodgers or Wilson? We'll keep Cousins out of it for now because he's still on a roster. Would you rather trust that maybe Stefanski can figure something out with Kenny Pickett, or would you rather see him work with Russell Wilson or Rodgers?
It's like I think about with Sam Darnold. They just signed Valdez-Scantling today, Seattle. Great plan. Terrific plan. You just traded away Geno and Metcalf and released Lockett off a 10-win team so you could be mediocre for the next few years instead of down to the studs, rebuild, wait on a better quarterback class. I don't like that. You just asked me a question about Cleveland. I guess Pickett because he's just a guy. He's younger. And maybe he won't get hurt. But you're not going to win anything with Kenny Pickett. You're not going to win anything with Russell Wilson. And the Jets found out you're not going to win anything with Aaron Rodgers because the Jets' win total last year was set at like 9.5. Maybe was it 10.5? Because of all the talent on the team. They thought Rodgers was the one missing piece because the ACL the year before. Disaster. Nobody's winning with Rodgers, Wilson, or Pickett. Or
no, it was 10-1, 10.5 was the win total, 20-ish to 1 to win the Super Bowl. I know because I fell for it. I got duped. I thought there was lightning in a bottle. I thought they'd figure it out, and I thought the team was talented. My point about the Pickett thing was there's a conversation to be had whether you'd go into next year with Kenny Pickett and maybe you can coach him up versus what Rodgers and Wilson are. You think you're buying the Hall of Famer. You're not getting that guy. In fact, neither of those guys have been the Hall of Famer for a few years now. It's been a while. At least with Kenny Pickett, he's cheap, he's athletic, and maybe you can unlock something that hasn't existed before. And if you're going to get Aaron Rodgers because you think he's going to help you win, you're not getting the guy you think you're getting is my point.
You think Cleveland or Pittsburgh thinks they're getting MVP Rodgers?
I think they think they're getting a guy that can make the postseason because that's how you keep your job in the NFL. The reason you sign Aaron Rodgers is to keep your job. And you think that he is good enough to make the playoffs, get one of those wild card spots, and you will be employed for another year.
I think it's just desperation. Like the reason I just did the whole one thing connected to the other, this person jumping from this team to this team, is because you realize it's just musical chairs. It's a dearth of talent. I like to say it all the time. There's, 6 to 7 that are great at doing this, which is playing quarterback on the planet. You can go to India, you can go to Japan, you can go to the United States, you can go to South America. You're going to find 6 people on the planet that are great at it, and then up to 15 that are pretty good at it. And then outside of that, you've got teams like Pittsburgh, like Cleveland, and others grasping. It'll be fascinating to see what happens with Minnesota because we haven't heard anything. I mean, think about what's happening in Indianapolis. This has been a crazy offseason and free agency period because I can't really compare it to eras as far as lack of talent at the position. I'm old enough to remember when we had some pretty bad quarterback play. But think about the competition that's going down. The Giants didn't want Daniel Jones. They traded him or he signed with Minnesota. Minnesota could have kept him, and he could have been the bridge quarterback to J.J. McCarthy. They said they didn't want him. He's now in Indianapolis, and he's going to compete against Anthony Richardson, who completed 47% of his passes. So the quarterback competition in Indy, which will get a coach fired, Steichen is going to be gone, is Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. We got a problem here, people.
Yeah, that's your hope. No, that's your
and
clinging on to hope.
You know what's funny about that is we always hear people arguing about, oh, is Trevor Lawrence legit? Are you drunk? Are you insane? Are we having this conversation? Is Dak Prescott, should they extend Dak Prescott? No, Dallas should have let him go, and they should have gotten the Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson sweepstakes. I mean, stop it.
So,
if Dak Prescott was available right now, teams would be tripping over themselves to get to Dallas.
Yeah, you pay him because he's the franchise quarterback. That's it. If you think he's good enough to consistently win in the NFL, you pay him, which brings me to the next guy who's supposed to get paid. What does what's going to happen with San Francisco here and Brock Purdy say about everything you just said? Because you're not a fan of Brock Purdy, and they're letting go of that entire roster to clear space to be able to give him the money that he's supposed to get. What does San Francisco do there? Because the Niners window could be completely closed if they lock him down and he doesn't have the help he needs.
If he gives me a discount, I'm signing Purdy. If he gives me a discount. If not, I basically this is the San Francisco 49ers. And by the way, they will not be making the postseason next year.
No.
But if you pull up the NFC West odds for next year, because like Samich said yesterday, the Rams should be so far and away the favorites, it's not even funny. They are far and away the best team in that division. Seattle's torn it apart. Arizona, and San Francisco completely dismantled their team. And here's what I'll say about Purdy. Give us a discount, and I'm talking a major Groupon, or get to Steppen. And I'm sure a team will sign him. It's fine. But you're San Francisco. You're in an opportunity where you missed on Trey Lance. You botched it. And Shanahan has to own it, and Lynch has to own it. You used a first-round draft pick and traded up to try to grab Trey Lance, who's never going to start the rest of his career in the NFL unless there's an injury, and he's a backup. So you need a quarterback. Why not draft one? Unless Purdy is going to give us a discount, and that's my answer.
Yeah, and San Francisco, call the bluff. When's the last time someone called the bluff of someone that, that has gone as far as Purdy has gone? Because right now in the NFC West, they're still the favorite at plus 120. The Rams are down to plus 165. I saw plus 190 this morning. Seahawks are 7-1. The Cardinals are 7-1. But if Brock Purdy, in this world that we just established, where these teams are desperate for quarterbacks, if someone else other than San Francisco was going to make him a $50 million man, who is that team? I don't know if the teams that we're mentioning, right? Cleveland can't do it. Pittsburgh doesn't have the cap space, and I don't think they're doing it. Minnesota's not going to do it. They have a younger guy that they want to get ready for the job. The Giants maybe, but that would be the ultimate desperation move. Call his bluff. Tell Brock Purdy 25, 30 million. That's what you're making. We still need to build a roster around you to win.
I'm still fascinated with the notion that 50 million's even on the table for Brock Purdy. I know you keep telling me that. I can't see on any planet where Brock Purdy's going to make 50 million per. I seriously can't. Because why would they do that? They're not stupid.
That's what I read. That's what I read in the offseason that's what the next guy gets paid, right? That's the thought. Right. That's what the next guy gets paid.
It's all about timing with the quarterback market, but that would be bad planning if you're San Francisco and you're willing to pay Brock Purdy $50 million per. Stupid.
Well, especially because if that was the case, you had a contingency plan in Sam Darnold, who was in San Francisco last year as a backup, who actually played well when Brock Purdy got hurt, who you could have signed for what Seattle signed him for, which is about $37.5 million per year. That would be a discount versus Brock Purdy. So you had that option. It's now gone.
I'll tell you where I think teams botched it. You know what we'll do? I'll take a couple calls and we'll come back. There was a quarterback that re-upped with the team today that teams must be drunk not to be signing this guy. I'll tell you who that is in a second. Let's go here on VSiN Live. Remember, you can find us on YouTube. Hit us up in the Discord family bets, and we say hi in Reno, California. Laura, welcome.
Reno, Nevada. Come on, Patrick.
Reno. Oh yeah, it says Who wrote California? Reno, Nevada. What up?
Hey, so I was just hearkening back to the days when Dustin was getting carrot sticks in his mom's basement back in the good old days. So I know you guys have been on for a while, but it's good to hear you again.
Thank you.
I mean, like when we're talking about Rodgers, I just thank you for. Do I live in an alternate universe where Rodgers is a viable quarterback? I mean, he made a dysfunctional, team even more dysfunctional, and now he wants $45 million is what they're saying to play for, a 2-year, $90 million deal. I keep pushing it out there that this is craziness. Like, this is complete madness to bring him into any team.
Laura, I'm right there with you. We lost you. Reno, Nevada. I'm right there with you. And look, he could go on in Pittsburgh and have a tremendous year. But again, it's almost like if you're, and I'll use Dustin's favorite thing, which is relationship analogies. If you're in a relationship and the person continues to show you who they are and you continue to accept and think they're going to change, well, that's on you. So this would be on the Steelers. This would be on Minnesota. This would be on anybody that signs him because he just showed the Jets who he was. And do not get it twisted. I know people that covered the Jets. He got Saleh fired. He fired Robert Saleh or whatever the F his name is. So don't do that. And the irony of bringing Rodgers to Pittsburgh, if that's the case, is Russell Wilson, who wasn't wanted in the locker room in Pittsburgh, is now being danced to Cleveland. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And it also highlights something else about these athletes. And I understand none of us can relate. It's one of those things where it's like, dude, I can do this dumb job until, how old is Dog? 80? I can do this dumb, as long as I have a voice, I can keep doing this job. How old is JT the Bird? I can keep doing this job. If the good Lord is willing and my voice works and they let me, I can talk. Athletes are fascinating. And that's the reason Laura probably remembers, anybody that's heard me interview athletes in the past, one of my favorite things to do is talk to them about the transition from playing to life, because 41 years old is really young. Dustin just turned 40 yesterday. You got your whole life in front of you. And that's a really hard decision to turn that part of your brain off that says, I have been the best. In Rodgers' case, maybe naturally the most gifted player at the position, most popular sport in America, MVP, Super Bowl champ. He has been the best with an ego. They all have egos. He definitely has one, and now he's being doubted. So instead of gracefully walking away, there's such a competitive ego and such a dangerous aspect of it that disallows and blocks them from seeing the reality. Because on the other side is what? It's like you see it with Tom Brady. You can tell when you're listening to Tom Brady. I mean, the broadcast is basic and he doesn't have a voice. He's fine. He doesn't have Riz, whatever that is. You can tell he doesn't want to be talking about the games. He wants to be playing quarterback. So it's like, that's the reason Russell Wilson is dragging Rihanna or whoever he's married to.
Ciara.
Freaking Cleveland. Sienna. He was with her in Seattle. He took her to Denver. Let's ride. He rode her, to Pittsburgh. Rihanna is one of the Ciara is one of the biggest she was one of the biggest stars in the 2000s. I got you, Ryan. Ciara. Get the hell out. Everybody leave me alone. Think about what I'm telling you. He's taking one of the hottest chicks on the planet from Seattle to Denver to Pittsburgh, now potentially Cleveland, because he can't let it go. Imagine those conversations. We're going to go through this again. We're going to move to Cleveland. No offense to Cleveland. Actually, I could talk badly about Cleveland. I'm from Michigan. It's the worst. Okay, people. The Midwest is where people are just like, I guess. The Midwest is where people are just like, I guess we'll stay here. And you do. And then you get snowed on for 7 months, and it's dark, and you have to take meds, SSRIs for seasonal depression. All my friends do. But the point is, that's where Sierra and Russell are going to end up. They're going to end up in Cleveland. It's called the mistake by the lake, and it would be a mistake if the Browns signed him.
And then the rest of his life.
Calls next.
Four minutes.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson. Sweat your bets with VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
Yeah, and when it comes to free agency, I'll tell you something else I learned working with a former general manager, Michael Lombardi, for years and years. Look, great guy, knows more about football than all of us. But what you start to realize is they talk because they're human beings. When I hear him talking to other football people, and I've heard him talking to Belichick, I've heard him talking to a million people. I'm not displacing his trust right now. They talk essentially just on a better level like you talking fantasy with your friends. Because guess what? They're just people talking ball. So the point is, when the conversation about Russell Wilson goes like this with Lombardi or anybody else, if we can just unlock him and get him to where he was 3 years ago, we could be special. The same thing about Rodgers. Everybody thinks they can do something different. They're not having advanced conversations, and I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Marcus Mariota signed a 1-year extension with the Washington Commanders today. What are teams doing? He's 31 years old. Last year he played in 3 games for Washington, completed 77% of his passes, 4 touchdowns, no picks, and ran for 100 yards. We're not talking about a Super Bowl team with Rodgers, Wilson, Pickett, or any of them. Why would you, if you're, Minnesota, if you're Pittsburgh, if you're Cleveland, why would you prefer the names I just said over Marcus Mariota? I really can't conceptualize it. Makes no sense.
Because you're buying something that you think exists that no longer exists. And your options are so limited. So the goal is to find a way to get those guys back to being some semblance of what they used to be, instead of trying to unlock something else that we've never seen from a younger upside player. The options are horrible. The options are not good right now. That's why they're desperate for these guys, because these guys at least have done it before. And you hope mentally, right? The physical skills are gone. The hope is mentally they can keep you in games and win games by being smarter than the opponent. But that's just not reality. That's not how the NFL works. It's all about physical ability. But I mean, the names that are free agents right now, do they get you excited? Because I'm looking, Aaron Rodgers at the top of the list right now. Trey Lance is out there. Drew Lock is out there. Jameis Winston, Mac Jones, Mason Rudolph. It's an ugly pool of options, at least from their perspective. Hey, Aaron Rodgers, he used to be good. Maybe there's a small glimmer of hope we can find that again.
I'm telling you, that was my favorite part about being exposed to those type of people with Lombardi. And that's whether you hate me or not, like me, because I know a lot of people love Lombardi on with Dog and didn't like it. That was me and Eddie. The chats you have in with your fantasy league, it's very similar to the conversations that people in the league have. That's all I can tell you. Lombardi's the best. He knows a hell of a lot more, but it's the same type of conversation. Would you do this? Enter trade. What do you think about this guy? Well, I like his mobility. He's got a strong arm. He's got to fit in the locker room. Is he a culture guy? And that brings us, and Lombardi taught me this more than anybody. Culture, and he's 100% right. I used to roll my eyes when Lombardi said culture, and you probably do too when you hear him on with Dog, and he talks about culture. Well, guess what? He completely convinced me because I saw it with Dan Campbell. And so the danger is you do have a copacetic room. You do have a copacetic locker room of 52, 53, whatever it is, dudes. And then you bring in somebody that's anti-culture. Aaron Rodgers, who he's not even, like, he's passive, but he's pretty overt about the fact that he'll just rip it down. But Russell Wilson is passive. So good luck with that in the culture. 888-623-3646. Let's go here on VSiN Live. Let's say hi to Al in White Plains. What's up, Al?
The Butch and Sundance of Sports Talk Radio. It's always great to speak to you guys.
What's happening?
It's a train wreck any way you look at it. You guys have hit it. And see, Big Dust, the Bull of the Woods, is the only guy who has nailed the scenario with Rodgers. All those numbers, that Mike Tannenbaum talks about, those efficiencies, it was all in garbage time. They're behind all the time. He's throwing on every down. And for the last 3 years, he's throwing – look, I understand I'm not Mike Lombardi, and I'm not Mel Kiper Jr. I'm just a little old Al from White Plains, old man, country lawyer, who's been watching since Jimmy Brown. He throws up his back foot all the time. He wants to get rid of the ball as soon as possible. He's old. He doesn't want to get hit. Matthew Stafford is old, but he's still only 37. When do you see Matthew Stafford throwing off his back foot? Matthew Stafford throws in the face of Mack trucks, all right, to wait until his guy, he can throw him open or he's broken to be open or where he can throw the ball where the guy's going to get to. Rodgers is past that point now. He's not waiting anymore. And Russell is there too. It's the same story. It's past performance, all gone, all over, bad or mediocre teams. And has anybody had a quicker fall from supposed greatness than the great organization of the guru, the flyboy, the genius, all right, gagging coach in San Francisco and the dope of the general manager?
Preach! He's so overrated. I can't. He's so overrated.
He made the second worst trade in recent memory. Obviously, the Cleveland trade is the worst of all time. But they traded their first-round pick and 2 more first-round picks to draft Stu Lance, all right? Lakers broadcaster. From not NC State, ND State, North Dakota State, who had a cup of coffee at North Dakota State. They cleared everything for Trey Lance. Think about that. And that was the beginning of the end. Because after that, they get Mr. Irrelevant. They've got all this talent around them, so let's stay with Mr. Irrelevant. Now they're screwed. They're hurt. They're old. They're beat up. And they're capped out. Everybody's gone. And they're stuck with Mr. Irrelevant, who couldn't shine Sam Darnold's shoes. I know you disagree with me. He couldn't shine Sam Darnold's shoes on his best day as a thrower. And like you said, Dust, they could have had Sam Darnold for half the money he wants. And they are done. I mean, you can't stick a fork any deeper in anybody than you can the San Francisco 49ers.
Dustin knows this. Kyle Shanahan, to me, and we worked with a donk at my old job, and he just didn't know what he's talking about. But he said Shanahan's the best coach in football. I said, are you kidding? Like, really dig into what's happened up in San Francisco. And we don't even have to talk about the comeback in the Super Bowl because you can put some of that on Quinn as well. In big spots, that dude chokes. And by the way, North Dakota State, when they went to grab Lance, remember, it was around COVID. He didn't even play football at North Dakota State. So they worked him out, and they decided based on and their expertise. Now, this goes back to what I just said about Lombardi. And understand, Al, Dustin, anybody else that knows ball, I'm trying to say you guys know what you're talking about. And understand Shanahan and Lynch went to North Dakota, worked out Lance, and mortgaged the future for a guy that couldn't start on his best day. That's what I'm talking about.
Six college games. He wasn't even like a real starter the year prior. His last season was canceled because of COVID. And then for Kyle Shanahan, look, I fell into the hype for a while. He is a brilliant play designer. He is a great play caller. But if we've learned anything about the transition in the NFL, the way the successful teams operate now, that's basically meaningless. Like, I know Sean McVay is the best play caller, but what he does as a head coach is so much bigger than just dialing up an offense. He is the leader. Everyone looks to him. He's calm when things are crazy. He motivates those guys when they need something. Like, he is a leader to the nth degree. Dan Campbell, you mentioned, it's the culture. It's building the program. Kyle Shanahan acts like a loser. He pouts. He's whiny. And the team takes on that persona. And also, part of coaching is also making second half adjustments. Getting hit when your first plan doesn't work and coming up with another solution. Kyle Shanahan, time and time again, is awful at adjusting when other teams figure out what he wants to do.
Yeah, and I think people get wrapped up. You might have been a victim of this as well. They get wrapped up into a way a dude looks. He's surly. He's got the hat on. Looks like he's composed. And you think he's got something.
It's all planned.
And he just doesn't. And I'll tell you another one that you just mentioned, the fact that, you know, Dayball in New York, you guys should have moved on. When he was Sarkisian went in halftime of whatever the Final Four game was, and remember what he said? He blamed the referees. I said, you got to fire him. Daboll undressing Daniel Jones on the sideline, that's not a leader. That's a child. You
Also,
get paid to be the bigger person. McVay would never do that.
But it's also on you. It's on the head coach. When the failure happens on the field, it's not because of the players. Even if it's the players that screwed up,
Correct.
It's still the coaching and the leadership that led to that failure on the field.
Correct. And I'll tell you something else that Al said about Rodgers. Yes, use your eyeballs. You realize you can't play. However, I was talking about the insubordination or undermining element. Let me ask you, and this comes back to parenting. Let me ask you about Matthew Stafford. He's 37 years old. He just got damn near $50 million and deserved every penny. He's never said a bad word about a coach, about a player. He's played through broken ribs. He's played through every injury. And by the way, he spent 11 years in Detroit with Jim Schwartz, or maybe he got there a year after, with Jim Caldwell, and he never uttered one bad word. Rodgers got to the Jets, and 10 minutes later fired Saleh.
Hold on. Rodgers won a Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy and got him fired. He couldn't stand McCarthy at the end. He ran to our guy Tyler Dunn and just unloaded the clip on everything he didn't like. And just say it's an unnamed source. Just say it's someone complaining about what's going on here. Aaron Rodgers tears up locker rooms. And your point about Stafford is perfect. That's what you want in a leader. He's unflappable. You've never heard Matthew Stafford say anything amazing. You've never heard him say anything bad. He just stays cool, calm, and collected all the time. And honestly, when those guys are in a huddle and they're looking at their leader, their quarterback, they know at any point in the game that guy's got everything figured out because his blood pressure is always good. He's never rattled.
888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. We're about, and again, Rodgers was great. Excuse me, Stafford was great in the snow at Philly. We didn't see any of that from Wilson. We didn't see any of that from Rodgers. Okay. We're underway, Oklahoma City and Boston, potentially a preview of the finals. We're on Oklahoma City as a family. We got any bets as far as, I'm going to come back to the calls. We got any bets as far as the college basketball? Because like I said at the start, we got 16 games tipping from start to finish of this program. You know what that is? Lots of betting, lots of in-game opportunities, big guy.
So I'm going to the Family Bets Discord, and I'm seeing some bets. Snickers is on John Morant over threes tonight and assists. He's also on PJ Washington, points and rebounds. Anello has a same-game parlay with the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. I see a play on Tyler Hero, Anthony Edwards points. So a lot of bets pop in there. In college, I'll tell you what I'm on. I'm on Oklahoma, plus 3.5 against Georgia. And I think this is one of those spots where they're both on the bubble, right? But I think Oklahoma is more on the bubble than Georgia. Georgia has a chance to get in. So this is a situation for me where I think that they need it more. It's 3.5 points. They're the team that shoots better and significantly better from three, 36.6%. I like them to go here after they ended their season on a high note with wins over Missouri, who's ranked, and Texas, where they really needed that win. I like it to carry over, the shooting to carry over, and Oklahoma to cover that number.
Nice. 888 7-0 run to start for Oklahoma City. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and just cash this with 10:28 to play in the first. Why not? Give me that. Give me that cash.
I love to see it. I've got 3 bets, by the way.
What's that?
I've got 3 bets on this, on Boston Celtics rebounds. Tatum over rebounds, Brown over rebounds, White over rebounds. It just started. You could still get in on them.
Okay. 888-623-3646. We'll close out with your calls. Top of the hour, we've got our buddy, professional bettor, Aaron Halterman. We've got Noops Christensen talking NBA. We've got Matt McCall, who coached at, where did McCall coach?
Chattanooga and UMass.
Chattanooga and UMass. Great dude. Knows his college hoops, obviously. So we'll be talking about conference tournaments, the big dance with Matt McCall as well. We continue. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson. Back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
Yeah, the big guy, Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Maher. Remember, everything free over at no paywall, VSiN.com/champweek. It's the first time I've been working, gosh, I don't even know. I don't know. I started in 05 at SiriusXM, and then when did I leave to go to VSiN? I left in like 18, something like that. Stayed for 2 years.
It was 19.
Well, anyway, 7 years. Something like that, 6-7 years. They've never given everything away for free. This is the bottom line. Go to VSiN.com/champweek. You can sign up. It's absolutely free. No commitment. I just told Dustin, CONCACAF. That's soccer with South America, America, Costa Rica, Aruba. It's just, trust me. Vancouver Whitecaps, they're in MLS against Monterrey. They're Liga MX. If you can get 2.5, go over. Probably 2 3/4 on the Asian. I'd still bet it. How about that? Goals.
You know what? It didn't hit my brain that it's Monterey versus Vancouver, and I'm like, how are those places playing each other?
Yeah, because it's like a Champions League,
a friendly or
where
something.
All of Europe plays one another. This is our version of Champions League.
Interesting. And
this is North America's version of Champions League.
Okay, as the MLS stand here in America, does the MLS hold their own against these other countries?
They have sometimes. Last night they got demolished by the Mexican teams.
Okay.
and frankly, the Los Angeles Galaxy tonight are playing a Costa Rican team, Herediano, and Herediano on the first leg in Costa Rica beat the Galaxy.
Okay.
That's embarrassing. You should not be losing. MLS teams should not be losing to a Costa Rican team.
Yeah, but Costa Rica's got those PEDs that they snort before the game that gives them a lot of energy.
By the way, I decided on the country in South America that I've got top ranked. I don't know I think it's Brazil. I know the city, Rio de Janeiro.
That is Brazil. That is Brazil. I can confirm that much. I don't know much about outside the United States. Rio de Janeiro does feel like the spot in Brazil.
Anyway, I was doing some research on YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
And somebody was taking they were filming the beach at Rio de Janeiro, just walking around on a sunny day on the beach and just filming it in real time. And I must say, I might effing move there.
Inspired to floss, I bet, after.
Look, no body shaming, body positivity. There's no insecurities, no nothing. I swear. I need like a South American lady to call up here. If a random white guy ended up in South America, would he have success?
Or would he end up murdered? That's the question.
Well, I definitely would end up in a cartel. I just want to know, do girls consider white dudes in South America like the most basic thing of all time? Or is that like currency?
No, I feel like you would be interesting. You'd be unique. You'd be different for them. I feel like it's a positive to be like that down there.
Well, I might end up in some sort of cartel, but I'd be making cash and I'd be dating chicks in Rio de Janeiro.
I'd be proud of you. I'll tell you that. I would be proud of you if you did that.
That's my one seed. Let's get back to the calls here. Let's say what's up to Adam, Louisiana. What's up, Adam?
How's it going?
Good. What's going on?
Well, you were talking about how $50 million seemed like a lot of money to be paying Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, but I don't think it's that crazy when you start looking at the contracts around the league. I mean, you look at I would take Brock Purdy over Joe Burrow, $55 million a year.
Okay, I got to hang up. Sorry. Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in football. See, this is where maybe Lombardi does know more, which he does. I was just joking. We just officially took a call that somebody would take $50 million to Purdy over 55 to Burrow. I got to cleanse myself.
Okay.
Right over here in my office, I have an infrared sauna. I just got it off. I literally got it off Amazon. It's like one of those that you zip it up, but you can go in there and you sweat it out. During the break, I might have to turn the sauna on to get whatever that was off of me.
I think the only question with Joe, I would take Joe Burrow up to like 80 million. And that's most of your cap money. That's how much better Joe Burrow is than Brock Purdy. I would pay.
Why are we? No, we can't have the conversation. We have to stop. Maybe he was. I had to hang up.
Has
and
to be trolling.
Adam, you must be trolling. You must be trolling. Let's say hi to our buddy Brooklyn J. What up?
Yo, tell him pass the weed. Pass the weed, Adam.
What the hell was that?
Pass it over here. You bugging, especially when San Francisco just lost 10 of their starters. What is wrong with you? You know what this reminds me of? Brock Purdy's career reminds me of Jared Goff. He got to the Super Bowl, but he wasn't able to get past that again. And that's how I feel is what's going to happen to him. And what happened to Jared Goff? He had to get his ass up out of there, and they sent him to Detroit. And what happened when he was in Detroit? He poo-pooed all over the place again. So at the end of the day, no, you pass the weed, Adam. Pass the weed.
Pass the weed. I got to go to Brooklyn J because we got a break, but nice to talk to you. Adam called back and said he meant Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
Adam, first off, don't ever feel hesitant to call. I was doing shtick, but I had to hang up because you said Joe Burrow. You're saying Trevor Lawrence. Okay. Again, we have to think about what other teams are doing right now and how thirsty they are looking for a quarterback. If you're Jacksonville, you're thrilled and you pay them whatever market value is. Trevor Lawrence is on another level compared to what we're talking about in deficiencies with these other players. You would agree. Even people that doubt Trevor Lawrence would agree with that. Brock Purdy has many limitations. Many limitations. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm handling something right now. What
okay?
I'd say about Trevor Lawrence is you can make a strong case he is the most skilled, top to bottom quarterback talent-wise we've seen in 25, 30 years in the NFL, right? Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft for a reason. You're paying Trevor Lawrence over Brock Purdy every single time. The hope of what Trevor Lawrence can become is so much further greater than what Brock Purdy could ever be on his best given day. It's not even close.
Yeah, Lawrence has disappointed me. I'll say that. But I'd still pay him whatever.
100%. He hasn't lived up to it, but what's the ceiling? The ceiling is two totally different conversations. Brock Purdy, we've seen the ceiling for Brock Purdy. This is as good as it gets.
Listen, the reason I had to hang up on the Joe Burrow call, I believe Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in football. That's just me. I'm on an island, but you can say all things considered equal. You see what I'm saying? Everything. Yeah. You're picking a quarterback for next year, one quarterback. I'm sorry. I'm taking Burrow. Go ahead and look up his numbers. Well, he has a lot of talent. That offensive line ain't great. Didn't have a running game.
Take away coach, take away help, take away players, GM, Joe Burrow, all the way.
Yeah, I like Burrow a lot. Adam, call us back, buddy. I feel bad. Coming up next, Aaron Halterman joins us. We'll talk puck and basketball. It's VSiN Live.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Now back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, VSiN.com is free until Selection Sunday, and the response has been awesome. We actually had an email circulating that Bill has been getting a great response from people that are just stopping by and giving it a free opportunity, no cost, no commitment, and people are loving it. So go to VSiN.com/champweek. You get the daily best bets, including Halterman, who's going to join us, the big guy who's at the top of the leaderboard, exclusive betting splits, 24/7 video, everything, full access, the app, all through Selection Sunday. So go check it out, VSiN.com/champweek. Shout to Naya, a shout to Ryan, who are doing a great job. Ryan running our YouTube stream, which you can find at our VSiN page, and it's VSiN Live. I wish somebody, and I'm looking at the big guy, Dustin Swedelson, I wish somebody would help me streamline how to tell people how to find that. That sounds clunky.
YouTube.com/VSiN Live. That's it.
Okay.
YouTube.com, and there's a live section right there. Also, the link is tweeted out over at The Rap Radio on Twitter. And I'm also told we are also live streaming on Rumble, on Twitch, and there might be one other platform. So we're kind of everywhere at this point.
Who's Rumble?
It's the alt kick also. It's like an alternative to YouTube. I think people who got censored on YouTube went over to Rumble to make their money.
Oh, okay. Shout to Rumble. Welcome to the party. Probably Aaron Rodgers started?
Yeah. A lot of vaccine talk.
Donk. Hey, before we get to Aaron, did you get a lot of love yesterday for your 40th birthday?
Yeah, but I appreciate those who didn't reach out. Actually, Aaron Halterman, our next guest, did reach out. But I think people who know me best, like, don't call me. You can send me a text. I don't want to have a conversation. So I'm very appreciative. Not many phone calls yesterday.
How about love where you really get your gratification on social media?
I didn't put anything on social media.
No, I'm saying, did you get love?
Oh, yeah, a few people here and there. But what kind of psycho remembers like my birthday? Like, that's psycho if you remember my birthday. But yeah, a few people did reach out.
That's funny because Laura called earlier, and it just reminded us the roller coaster we've been on with you, where, remember when you were living at your parents? Don't get mad at me. These are facts, bro. When you were living in your parents' basement and your mom would deliver you like vegetable trays, and you would be like lecturing people how to lose weight.
Yeah.
And then you went back up on the roller coaster, and then you came back down on it, and now you're back up, now you're back down, now you got a boo. It's been quite a ride with the big guy.
Why would I be angry at you bringing up the best time in my life? I moved back with my parents. I had no rent. I was saving money for the first time, and my mom cooked all of my meals and did all of my laundry. It was the best year and a half of my life.
I hope Shorty's not listening, because you just got your first girlfriend as an adult, and you just called that your best time of your life.
Well, it's her job to do that now.
You know, we talked about this yesterday, the chauvinistic attitude. I know culture, cancel culture, that's over, and we're basically cruising like it's the 50s. Like, you come home, she's got an apron on, and that's what people expect on social media these days, the man of the house. But I don't think you should be thanking your girl for washing dishes and cooking food like you do.
Well, if we're being totally honest here in the situation, if there was a person who would have to do that in the relationship, it's actually me. Because she's busy doing real things, and I'm hanging out with you right now.
Also, yeah, and she does wear the pants. I can confirm that.
There's no doubts about that. She's in charge.
Let's just put it this way. Dustin found himself a leader.
I am along for the ride.
He absolutely is. Aaron Halterman, our friendship endures. And he's a happily married man who would never say she's going to be doing the cooking. She's going to be doing the dishes. Professional bettor, racingdudes.com handicapper at racing_dudes, and he joins us. It was quite an intro for you to hear me and the big guy talking about all that.
I can just stay in the background. I think that might be best for the show, because I always learn something when I'm waiting to come on. And this was probably the most educational thing. The Rumble thing, I had no idea what that was. I think you're still making that up. And this is fascinating relationship stuff. I wonder why he's been single so much over his 40 years now on Earth.
Well, I'm just curious, who is in charge of your relationship? Is it you or your wife?
Oh boy. Listen, Any healthy relationship, Dustin, is a 50-50 split.
Okay.
So as Heather is probably listening right now to the show, like she does, because she's a great wife that supports her husband, if she was doing something, I would be doing the same and supporting her, because a healthy relationship, Dustin, is a 50-50 split.
Compromise.
Would she say the same thing? Would she say that she's in charge or you're in charge? Someone's got to be in charge.
I mean, I think she probably feels like she's in charge, and maybe she is a little bit, right? But I also am not expecting her to, like, you know, cook me dinner every night. I mean, it is at 1950, Dustin. Come on, now that part you got to get over.
The other day we were closing tabs, and Dustin, we talked about it being National Dishwasher Day or something, and Dustin said, "I want to give a shout out to my girlfriend because she washes my dishes." I was like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Literally,
it's not real. It's not real. Like, come on. It's a funny joke.
No. Oh my!
You can't say it's funny.
You weren't joking. I see. He knows that I know. He said it, and I saw the look on his face. Anyway, let's move on.
I also don't want to drag you down with me in case it's an issue.
Yeah, don't do anything to me. I didn't do anything. I just sat here. I was taking bullets. Aaron Halterman, we got a ton of basketball today. Fellas, let's get updated on what's happening before we get into Aaron's picks. Dustin, if you got college basketball, let's both you and I ping pong these with Aaron on what's happening in the conference tournaments. You got any finals you need to report?
I'm not seeing finals. McNeese did win while we were on the air. So they won the Southland. That's Will Wade's school. He's going to get another job. Remember, they were the sexy team a year ago that we were all about, or I was all about, and they completely let us down in the NCAA tournament. So they just won the Southland. That's the big one that went final. Earlier today, North Carolina beat Notre Dame. I don't know if that does anything for you.
They're on the bubble. They're on the bubble, so that helps them stay alive. Iowa beat Ohio State. Halterman, Ohio State was on the bubble. That's not going to help their chances. Anything happen early in the day for you, Aaron, that stands out?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I thought as far as the bubble goes, I thought Arkansas winning. I'm not sure if they were truly on the bubble, but them winning kind of takes them off. I think they're going to be like a 10 seed now, maybe an 11. So I thought it was a big win for Arkansas. And then to stay with the SEC, I don't know if Texas can play their way into this thing or not, but that's a huge win for Texas to beat Vanderbilt. And they did it pretty decisively too, guys. So they're 18-14, but they're in that tough SEC. Can they win maybe a game or two more and get in? I thought those were the two big ones that you didn't mention. And then I think tonight, Oklahoma, obviously my team, they need to win to solidify themselves as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, the SEC is going to be crazy. I think a team that's not in that top 2 or 3 there in the league might end up winning this just because a lot of the seeds are already set for the big dance with Auburn, with Florida. You mentioned it. Georgia and Oklahoma is really intriguing because they're both kind of on the bubble. From what I'm reading, some people think Georgia's safer, that they're probably in, but Oklahoma is definitely on the bubble. And we've seen how your guys have performed back-to-back games, Missouri, Texas, 2 big wins, backs against the wall. They're catching 3.5 tonight. What are you going to do with this one?
I almost listed it as a play, but at the end of the day, I just couldn't do it. But I think Oklahoma and the points, I think that's pretty safe. They are a team that even when they've lost some of these games, they've been in it. They've had a big time chance to win. And I think Georgia's in. I think Oklahoma needs it. So I think that's got to factor into it a little bit as well. So I didn't put it as an official play, guys, but I do lean Oklahoma and the points. I could see them losing a close one because that's kind of what they do. They've shown a lot of toughness. They were left for dead. Even like the local media and myself are like, Porter Moser's going to get fired and this is a disaster. So to win the last 2, they've got a little momentum.
Yeah, Moser's interesting, right? Moser turned that Sister Jean run into Oklahoma, right, fellas?
But he went back. Didn't he go back to Loyola Chicago for like a year or two? He didn't leave right away. He stayed there for a year or two, I think.
Oh, okay. It hasn't clicked at Oklahoma. That felt, Aaron, like it was a home run hire at the time.
Oh, I was doing backflips. I thought, man, that's a great hire. They had Lon Kruger, who was a really good coach, fit in well there, and then they get Porter, and everybody was excited. Guys, I'm telling you right now, though, I don't blame him for what's happened, even though I think he was going to take the blame. Oklahoma as a program was not ready for this NIL thing. They're behind. Now the good news is they've kind of caught up to it. They've kind of understand what they need to do. They've got their ducks in the row, so to speak now. But that's to me, I don't think Brent Venables is a terrible coach on the football side. They were not ready for NIL. They don't have the players, but they're starting to get them now. So I think that's kind of the interesting thing when we look at Oklahoma, what they're going to be in the next year or two.
Yeah, Moser, by the way, stayed at Loyola Chicago 3 more seasons after that Final Four run. That's crazy that he didn't just capitalize right away and bounce. But, I mean, I guess credit to him. And, yeah, it doesn't help, right, Aaron, that Brent Venables needs as much money as possible to compete these days. So less money for the basketball program to have to mess around with. I'm on the same side as you in a game coming up in the Big Ten later today. Rutgers catching 1.5, taking on USC. I love being on the right side with you.
Guy.
What's that?
It's tipping off in like 18 minutes, by the way. Just so
okay.
Just so you guys know.
The backcourt's obviously awesome for Rutgers. What made you back them tonight?
How can you back USC? I think that's number one, right? Like and I know Patrick that Musselman's kind of your boy, but it's kind of. I mean, I know he isn't. He's a good coach. I'm not going to sit here and mouth him, but it's kind of been a disaster. Don't you guys think a little bit? I mean, they're 15-16. They were a little bit okay, and then they went on just a terrible stretch to end the season. You got a Rutgers team that's playing pretty decent for Rutgers for what they are. You're getting 1.5 points. Rutgers beat them by 7 on February 23rd. I just couldn't find a lot of reasons to back USC as a favorite. So I'm leaning Rutgers. It's kind of been a disaster for USC. Do they kind of have that mindset of let's just get it over with, right? And go on to next year and hopefully be better.
I love Rutgers tonight. It's essentially a pick 'em. It's one either way, depending on the book you use. So I like Rutgers in that matchup. By the way, the Oklahoma City Boston game right now is tied up at 33 to start of the second quarter. Check this out, boys. Boston went 9 of 22 from 3 in the first quarter. Let me repeat. They attempted 22 three-pointers, the second most attempts in NBA history.
What are they doing?
They're bombing threes. That's what they're doing.
Also,
that's what they do.
Against the Thunder team without Jalen Williams and Hartenstein coming off the bench tonight. Like, go down low and bang inside. What are we doing?
All right, let's get to another play with our buddy Aaron Halterman here. Let's see. Pull up my list. Jacksonville State laying 7.5 against FIU. Halterman.
Yeah, so they're kind of kicking this thing off, trying to make a run here. The CUSA, they've got a big shot to get the job done and actually make the tournament. In my opinion, that's kind of a wide open conference as we look at it. I think they're going to start off on the right foot. They are laying 7.5, a little bit more than I usually like to lay for a college basketball game, but I just think they're much better than FIU. FIU's played them close a couple of times, played them tight, but I just kind of feel like in this situation, you got a Jacksonville State team that's looking to make a run, make the big dance, and you got Florida International just trying to play the season out type of thing. So, I just think it favors Jacksonville State in this spot. Again, 7.5, it's a little high, but I've got it more like 10.5. So I had to play Jacksonville State in this spot. And I've got confidence. Like I said, I think this is a team win tonight. I think maybe we can play them a couple more times here in the CUSA tournament as we go along through the weekend.
Love it. Love it. Big Sky title game, Montana and Northern Colorado. Northern Colorado's been hot, laying 2.5, totals 147 and a hook. How are we playing the Big Sky championship?
Man, you guys know I love the Big Sky. I feel like I talk about the Big Sky every time I'm on here. Got to stay up late tonight, boys, to watch this one. But honest to God, I love Northern Colorado. If you don't know if you guys have watched them or not, and if people listening, if you haven't watched them, try to tune into this game. They're very exciting. They average 81 points a game. They are an up and down basketball team. I love watching them play. Now, look, they're playing Montana. They split during the regular season. Montana, they're a very good team as well, a team that's, they're no stranger to the big dance. But at the end of the day, I just love this Northern Colorado team. As you guys know, I follow kind of the smaller conferences, and I'm telling you, this is a very fun team. I hope they get it done. 2.5 for a team that scores like they do, I think it's okay. I think if they win, they're going to cover. Yeah, so give me Northern Colorado.
By the way, I asked Dustin and Mike this yesterday, so now I ask you, since you do love the Big Sky. Have you and Heather ever been to Big Sky Country? up there, Montana, Idaho. Have you ever been to that part of the country? Because it is chef's kiss.
I have been when I was a kid. I went up there. I don't remember much of it. I was very, very little. We need to go. And I know Heather really wants to go. So that could be, as we've established, she is in charge. So that could be like a summer vacation for us here. But I have heard it's great. And I remember faintly that it was beautiful up there.
Your boy, you know what? If I make a drastic decision coming up in the next couple of years, big guy, I might become a cowboy.
Yeah,
I might end up in Wyoming.
Watch. You love the ocean is the only problem, but I guess
Yeah,
if you lived on a lake, you get a little bit of that. But your vibe does fit Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, isolated, ride your horse to the grocery store, live like 30 miles away from the nearest hospital. Like I don't know if I can handle that. I make too many ER trips to live that far away from a hospital, but I think it fits your vibe very well.
Hey, Dustin nailed it, Aaron. The one word, isolation. Leave me alone. I'm left alone up there.
Yeah, I could see that. Now, cowboy, I think that's a stretch.
Whoa, that's disrespectful. You don't think he's capable of being a cowboy?
Chill out.
No.
Maybe not manly enough, but I understand where you're going with it. But I might surprise you. I can change some oil, all right? Let's do this. Let's go. Before we get to tomorrow's games, let's talk about some puck. Now, you'll love this because you and Samich are obsessed with first period unders. He came on and he gave us Vancouver, Montreal, first period over last night. And I believe Montreal scored within the first minute. So you like that, and ended up 2-0. So we did clear the 1.5, and the juice was 110. So you love to see it. Vancouver tonight, who are they playing and what do you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to go Vancouver plus 130, taking on the Flames in Calgary tonight. I may be in a small group of people now, but I still kind of sort of believe in the Canucks. I still think they could be that team to get the last playoff spot a little bit more than I do for Calgary. So tonight I am going to back them. I feel like it's kind of a toss-up game, and we talk about this when it's a toss-up game and you're getting plus 130. I think it may be even plus 135 last time I looked. It's kind of like, well, you got to kind of take it. This is a Canucks team. I think depth-wise, they are a little bit better than Calgary. I think the goaltending in Calgary has kind of gotten into this point, but I still like the overall team of the Canucks a little bit better. So I took them tonight in this one. It's such a big game. The winner is going to move into that last playoff spot in the Western Conference. So a massive game. It's a massive rivalry anyway. Canucks, one last point on them. They've been better on the road than they've been at home, which is always kind of one of those awkward things that you'll see every once in a while in the NHL. But Vancouver's pretty darn good on the road. I don't think going to Calgary will bother them. If they get to their game early and they get a goal or two early, I think they can jump on them. So I think plus 130 is the right price to back a team that, again, with Vancouver, I still believe they're going to be that last team in the West.
With the playoffs like right around the corner, are there any teams that you're concerned about with the way they're playing? Any teams you think are playing really well that you're thinking about backing, like up and down teams right now as we head towards the most important time?
Yeah, for sure. I think when you look at it right now, it's getting very interesting. Toronto's a team that I haven't loved lately that I did love earlier in the season, so I'm a little bit worried about Toronto. Now, mind you, there's still 4 or 5 weeks left. They could turn it around, but right now, I'm kind of worried about them. The Florida Panthers, our Florida Panthers, I should say, guys, they got Matthew Tkachuk is hurt and out for the rest of the regular season, and then Ekblad, their great defenseman, gets suspended for the whole rest of the season. So I'm a little worried about the Panthers, even though they're playing great. The injuries and the kind of the suspensions are starting to mount up. So I'm not sure about them. Teams that are playing really well, I still think Vegas is playing extremely well right now. I still think they're one of those teams that are going to be very tough to beat come playoff time. They're a complete team with really good goaltending. So I still think Vegas doing awfully well. And then the Washington Capitals, who I'm kind of waiting to maybe fall off. They just keep playing very well as well. So those two I really like right now. And I like the way Florida's playing. But again, I do worry, boy, you can't lose all these guys and still make a run. And I know they got Marchand at the trade deadline, but still the core of that team is Tkachuk. He's in the center of everything. They got to get him back.
By the way, I think a fascinating story is, and you just alluded to it, Boston gave up on the year, traded Marchand. And after they traded him, 2 straight games, they beat Tampa, and they beat Florida. So it's like you generally want to fade a team where they essentially traded the heart and soul. It sends a message to the rest of the locker room. We're a 500 hockey team. We're looking to next year. And then they come. It's almost like you got to wonder what's happening with Brad Marchand in that locker room because they rallied and beat two of the best teams in hockey.
Well, and I watched every second of the Florida game you referenced. They were behind 2-0, and they looked dead. And they came back and scored 3 goals in the third period and got the job done 3-2. And it was electric in that building, and those players were buzzing in the third period. They were awesome. So I'm with you. It's going to be interesting. They're still 2 points out of a playoff spot, so they got work to do for sure. But if they play like that, they're going to make a run, and they're going to at least have a chance.
What'd you make? I know that they added Rantanen at the deadline, the Dallas Stars. They're now the favorite on the board. Do you think that's warranted? They're that far and away better than everyone else at 6-1.
I wouldn't play them at 6-1. I do want to say that before I say the next thing is they probably deserve to be the favorite, but I just don't want to play a team at 6-1 to win the Stanley Cup because how hard it is to win it, as we know. And look, they were playing extremely well before they made that move. And then they get him, and it's like, yeah, that probably is going to put them over the top. They deserve to be the favorites. I don't want to play them at that price, but I do get why they are the favorites. But can they, beat a team like Edmonton? Can they beat a Vegas? Those are the can they beat Colorado, a team that's playing very good as well? Those are the big question marks and the hurdles that Dallas have to kind of jump over.
All right, let's get a few plays in before we say goodbye. Tomorrow on the conference tourney board, we'll start the Bonnies, St. Bonaventure hosting Duquesne. The Bonnies are laying 1.5, Aaron.
Yeah, I thought it was a little light. I thought they should be laying 3.5 or 4.5. They're a pretty good team, been pretty hot lately. They were able to beat Duquesne by 7 on February 22nd. So a recent game between these two where the Bonnies were able to get the job done. Another thing I love when I'm looking at these neutral site games, whether it be March Madness or the conference tournaments, defensively, how good are our teams? And St. Bonaventure is a pretty darn good defensive team. So I don't mind playing them. I think 1.5 is a little bit low. I think they could make a little bit of run. I don't think they're going to make March Madness, but I think they could make a little run in this tournament and beat somebody they shouldn't.
Let's stay in the A10. St. Louis is laying 2.5, taking on Davidson with their new GM, Steph Curry. What are you going to do with this one?
Yeah. Look, St. Louis is hot right now. They've won 4 out of 5. I can watch them locally play. So I watch them every once in a while on television, and they definitely look like a team some nights that's very good and maybe could make a run in this tournament, and other nights that not so much. They're inconsistent. But the thing that I like about them in this game is Davidson, who they're playing, they have really fallen off the last month and a half. They have just not played well. They are struggling to win games. I just kind of look at this one and thought, you know what, St. Louis, if they show up and they play their best game, they're just simply better than Davidson. So I'm going to back the Billikens here. Hopefully they show up and play well. I'm not a believer in Davidson.
All right. You got one more, but I'm trying to get my bet in on Rutgers. Big guy, can you ask Aaron about his last bet?
Yeah. We've got Wichita State
I'm literally
in the American. The Shockers. I don't know if I can't do the Shocker. I don't know how it goes. The Shockers are laying 3.5 against South Florida. I want to get you an updated total here, though. South Florida. Total's 143.5. How are we playing it?
Yeah, I went Wichita State minus the 3.5 here. South Florida comes in on a 4-game losing streak. That's never a good sign coming into the conference tournaments. Wichita State, they're having a down kind of couple years, really, but this year especially. They haven't been great lately, but before they lost 3 out of 4 heading into this, they won 6 in a row. So I kind of felt like they were starting to right the ship until the recent kind of lull. And again, they're just one of those teams. Every year, it seems like Wichita State's a team you look up and it's like, yeah, they're starting to win a few games. They're making a run, whether it be the conference tournament or in the NCAA tournament. So I thought 3.5 was about right. I don't mind laying the 3.5 with Wichita State against a South Florida team that I've kind of just lost all confidence in.
All right. That's our buddy Aaron Halterman, racingdudes.com. Give a shout to Heather for us, and good luck, my friend. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Help her with the dishes. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I'm going to get myself into trouble.
Send me?
I just saw this from a few hours ago. The Daily Mail has a picture, and the headline is wild. It is Aaron Rodgers standing on the beach with, I guess, a blanket around him. And their quote on their tweet is exclusive. Solemn Aaron Rodgers caught strolling along a beach as he continues to ponder his NFL future. One, that is editorializing. They do not know what he is thinking about there.
He's in Malibu. He's got a blanket. It does get chilly. I can confirm. It's been a little rainy, little chilly here on the coast lately.
And if we're going to be fair about the Great Pacific Ocean, when you look at it, you're not necessarily caring about your worries. You just get lost in the ocean.
This time of the year, what's fascinating, you know how all the like social media bros, they all get ice tubs?
Yes.
I got the biggest ice tub on the planet.
Oh.
The amount of people that just go take a dip in the morning in the Pacific Ocean as their, what do you even call that?
It's ice plunge? Cold plunge.
Yeah, cold plunge. People just cold plunge in the Pacific here. Now that's lit.
Well, I think there's like not to be the weird one in the conversation about this. Feels like it's more your expertise than mine, but I do feel like people say there's like a grounded spiritual thing about getting in the ocean and getting out of it that does something to like balancing you.
Yeah, grounding. Yeah, you just said it. It has a grounding effect.
So are you doing this regularly?
I do jump in the ocean. Yes.
I respect that.
Daily.
I just think if you're going to live near it, you should use it.
I have this is where my weakness comes in. I don't love cold.
That's why you ran away from Michigan.
Some people can handle the cold better than your boy, but I still do it. That's what I would say. All right. Good stuff with Aaron Halterman. Vancouver, by the way, if you want to take a plus price in hockey tonight and a bunch of basketball as well. Coming up next, we'll talk a little NBA. We'll get you updated on Oklahoma City at Boston. Noops Christensen joins us next. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, the Seattle Kraken play host to the Montreal Canadiens this evening. Tune in to SiriusXM NHL Network Radio Channel 91 beginning at 10:30 Eastern in the car or anytime on the SiriusXM app. As we do welcome you back here, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Again, you can find us streaming live on YouTube, youtube.com/VSiN Live. Jump in the chat. The big guy will hit you up. Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Maher. We're going to welcome in our good buddy Noops Christensen, of course, FTN Fantasy betting analyst NBA at _Noops on Twitter. So let's do this, Noops. Good to see you. Let's do this. Let's start with Oklahoma City at Boston, potentially a finals preview, obviously. I'll just say this, Noops. I looked up. I saw him getting plus 130 on the money line with Oklahoma City, and it was an auto fire for your boy. But here's the thing. 9 of 22, Boston in the first quarter from 3. They attempted 22 three-pointers, Noops.
Absolutely wild. I think it's not shocking that they shoot that many. And I think Doris Burke even mentioned it on the broadcast, or maybe, no, it was Dagnall. Dagnall at the quarter interview was talking about, the question was, with 22 attempts from threes, you can't stop them from shooting them. All you can try to do is slow them down a little bit. So 9 for 22, that's obviously not sustainable. I mean, maybe we'll see if they can stretch it out over second half. My biggest concern if I'm Boston is you lost the minutes with that SGA here at the start of the second quarter. Shai Gilgeous always sits the first, I think it was like 6, maybe even 7 minutes. They lost those minutes. And I think that you got to be real scared if you're Boston. As we go into the second half here, I think things are going to tighten up a bit. I'm curious to see what the second half line is, but I'll probably look at a second half total under, if it's anything kind of in the 114-ish range. I'm expecting somewhere around there. And I think kind of like you did, Patrick, this is a great game to live bet. I think if you sit and wait, you'll have a chance to have both teams at plus money.
Dustin, before you jump in, I got a question for both of you. And Noops, I don't know if we have your mic plugged in. I think you're talking through your computer. You just want to go ahead and refresh that. And I'll start with the big guy while you refresh your microphone. Dustin, you're starting a team tomorrow. Boston's playing OKC right now. You can pick the first player. Who are you taking?
Oh, it's SGA.
Either team.
SGA. It's SGA.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask Noops the same question. You're starting a team tomorrow. Boston, OKC. You get the first pick. What player are you taking?
It's a really difficult question. Let me know if I don't sound better. My mic should be on.
Oh, way better.
See a thumbs up here. I think you do. You have to take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The only thought, again, if you're picking just from these two rosters, is to look at Tatum, who, again, continues to be put in these conversations where I wish I could think of a better historical example of someone like this, who is constantly the best player in the second tier of NBA players, maybe the worst player in the first tier, but he is someone who is going to, again, finish third, fourth, fifth in MVP voting once again. He's an incredible player. He plays every night. He's good on both sides of the ball, but Shai is just better. He really is. I mean, you're looking at somebody this year, top 5 in terms of offensive and defensive rating, has been absolutely incredible.
So I'm just curious, what did you take from Oklahoma City and Denver over the weekend? Sunday into Monday, they play the back-to-back. They win the one where everyone's watching on national TV. They lose the next game on Monday. Did you have any major takeaways from OKC and the Nuggets?
I think that we saw, the importance of Jalen Williams in some of these big games, and that's what I'm curious to see how this goes in the second half and why it was so interesting to me that the Celtics lost the minutes without Shai, because Williams comes in. He is kind of the secondary ball handler there. What I did see was that from a Denver perspective, you're not worried at all about these double big lineups from Oklahoma City. This does not bother you at even just one bit. In fact, I think, and I need to go back and look at some of the lineups and things and see how things shook out, but I wouldn't be surprised to see if Denver really won a lot of the minutes when they went two bigs there. I think that if you're Denver, you want teams to play big against you. You don't want that speed there. And the biggest concern for me is I don't know what was different between the first and the second game for Jamal Murray, but he looked like two totally different people. He was lost in that first game. I mean, just barely involved. And the second game comes back, looks really sharp. And I think it speaks again to how good the Nuggets can be game to game and how scary they are.
Noops, you do have a play. T-Wolves Nuggets tonight. I believe you're going to go first half. Denver's laying 2.5, and the total's 232.5. But you're going to look at that first half total.
Yeah, full game wise, kind of lean towards the Timberwolves. At this point, you've missed the best of the number. This was around 4.5 earlier. We're now looking at 2.5, which is kind of right where I have it. The total at 232.5, pretty close to where I have it. But I continue to find that in those first half and first quarter markets, the splits between those and the full game numbers just don't look right to me. And this is a game where it profiles to me. Let's take the first quarter over now, and when we get to halftime, let's grab a second half under then, because these are two teams you look in terms of their pace. The first half pace much higher than it is for them for the entire game. And it's kind of surprising. You don't really think of Minnesota as a fast team, but they are for the first two quarters for whatever reason, and then things kind of slow down at half. I mean, the Nuggets have just been printing money in terms of first quarter and first half overs at home. They're, I think, about 10 games over 500 if you've just been blindly betting their overs in both spots. So, and even looking back to the first two times these teams played, I mean, we went comfortably over the 114.5 we're seeing now. Maybe it's a down spot for the Nuggets off the big win coming home. Maybe there's just a little bit of relaxation there, but I don't expect that against a Timberwolves team that kind of showed them up last year in the playoffs. So give me a first half over 114.5. And again, if you get a second half line in the 112 neighborhood, bet under then.
All right, later on tonight, 7-10 out here, 10-10 on the East Coast. It's the Knicks at the Blazers. Knicks are laying 4 on the road. Total's 227.5. No Jalen Brunson. Who's going to benefit? Who's going to pick up those assists? Who are we targeting for the Knicks with Brunson out?
Yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic. I know a lot of people have been flocking to Josh Hart. I think him to do a lot of good stuff is a solid bet. PRA overs, triple-double if you want to have some fun with it. But my favorite look is Michael Bridges, the player from Villanova, a really, I think, interesting and underrated playmaker in terms of what he can do on offense, just simply because he's never been asked to do it. You looked in the few games he played in kind of Phoenix by himself and with this Knicks team maybe at first. We saw a little bit of it, but you go look down his game log here. Basically, since Brunson's been hurt, he's averaging over almost 6 assists per game, 8, 5, 3, 4, 8 here. And again, we're looking at a total tonight. It just looks a little bit too low to me. His assist total we're seeing is 4.5 right now. I look over at our player prop model from FTN. We've got him closer to 6.5 guys than we do to 4.5. I see a lot of value in this at plus money.
By the way, Dustin, we got 3 minutes in. CONCACAF, Monterey, Vancouver got a goal 3 minutes in. So if you were in the Family Bets Discord, I told you to go over 2.5. Now, obviously, we're not there yet, but you like to see a goal early in the matchup. CONCACAF soccer for Noops.
Pacing.
Noops, we have to talk about Cleveland. They won 15 in a row. I believe this is their second 15 or more win streak. It's no longer a question, are they legit? It's just, how do you see them? They'll obviously be dogs in a series against the Boston. How do you see them matching up?
I continue to bet the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm probably basically over bet at this point. I've got them basically a coin flip between the Celtics and the Cavaliers to win the Eastern Conference. I think that in terms of the draw, it's going to be a little bit tougher for Boston, and close your ears, Dustin. I'm not too optimistic about what the Knicks can do. If we're already having injury problems here at the beginning of March, I can't see them even making a seven-game series tough. So I think we're going to look at the Celtics and the Cavaliers basically blow through these first two rounds, again, barring something really out. And then you get to that series in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I think maybe the Celtics are short favorites to win the series, but it's going to be very close. I would have the Cavaliers as small favorites, especially given their home court advantage. I think they match up well against Boston. Now, again, you don't love what they've got for wing defenders, but they've got just enough there, and the guards do very, very well. We've seen that Donovan Mitchell, no matter who they throw at him, finds a way to score against the Celtics team. And when you get into a tight series, having the player who could be the best in the last 2 minutes is really important. And I think Donovan Mitchell is that guy. You've got Evan Mobley, you've got Jared Allen. The defense should be solid. I don't understand why the Cavaliers still have a plus in front of their number basically to win the Eastern Conference, let alone plus 200. So if you're not like me and you don't already have way too many Cavs to win the East futures, get yourself some now.
Don't you feel like not enough is being...
I want to say this to you, big guy. You know the NBA doesn't want it. OKC and Cleveland. I have to tell you both. I think it's the most exciting.
Stern could get in the way.
No, I know, but I don't know if you both agree. I think as far as just watching the basketball, that matchup would be insanely entertaining.
No,
I agree.
absolutely. I think that would be really great. Honestly, any team in Oklahoma City, I think Boston and Oklahoma City, Cleveland and Oklahoma City, that's what I want to see from a basketball fan perspective.
Look, I know depth doesn't matter in the playoffs quite as much, but doesn't it feel like not enough's being made of what the Cavaliers have done with their depth? First off, the DeAndre Hunter trade's like a 10 out of 10. That is the perfect fit, perfect guy, plays defense. He can get buckets, but you don't need him to like be a go-to guy. But Ty Jerome has emerged as a six-man off the bench. They still have Strus who can shoot, been through a lot of big games. Like the depth of Cleveland, I don't think is getting enough pub. And we talk about Boston. Boston's top heavy. And by the way, we don't know what's going on with this illness with Porzingis.
The Porzingis situation is very scary. Just that, again, it's some sort of illness, and they don't even know what it is. Like there isn't the best doctors in the world that are trying to figure this out.
Right.
And not even from basketball perspective. Kristaps, I hope you're okay. I hope we figure this out. I hope you're just fine. Basketball is more fun with you. But you make a good point, Dustin. What they were able to do this season, and it's when people think about depth, they think about the second unit and the third unit and all those guys. When it comes to the playoffs, it's you need 8 to 9 guys that you can really trust. And I think Cleveland finally has that with Hunter. Strus has been really good. Hunter, Ty Jerome has turned into a solid player. Dean Wade has been good whenever he's been healthy. Again, you're up to 9 solid guys that you can run through the rotation night to night. And I still think the Celtics are very good, but once you get past the starting 5, especially if you pull Porzingis out, you're going to be asking a lot of Luke Cornett. You're going to be asking a lot of Hauser and Pritchard, and those guys are just, again, a little bit worse. So I think you have a good point there, Dustin. When you get into some of these tighter series, God forbid the Celtics have to go as far down as playing Kata big minutes or somebody like that. It gets real scary real fast.
Let's go west. We're talking to Noops Christensen, FTNFantasy.com, NBA analyst. The big guys, Golden State Warriors, 9-1, their last 10. The Lakers 8-2, their last 10. I bring it up, Noops, because for you're going to be entrenched in this regardless of the trade deadline. But nationally, this has added some juice. Butler going to Golden State, and obviously Luka to the Lakers. It's good for the sport.
It is. It's incredible because it's something, and I kind of hate this phrase, but it's relevant. There's who is the next star? And the problem was we continue to see Curry and LeBron as kind of the leaders of this league, but they're on 2 teams that were fading. So now we both have them on squads that are winning games that seem like they're contenders. That's a lot more fun. Now, I continue to be bearish on the Lakers and a little more bullish on the Warriors simply because I think the Lakers need an offseason to tighten things up. And if we're starting to see LeBron being hurt, again, Luka looks like he's in Luka shape, I'm calling it, where at a moment's notice, it looks like he's turned his ankle, but he's still out there running around doing stuff. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm worried that the Lakers in a long series are not going to be as solid defensively, whereas the Warriors can really answer just about any question a team asks. Now, from a star power perspective, maybe they can get overwhelmed, but they can defend, they can shoot. They have a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things. And when I start to look at kind of the playoff matchups, if Golden State can, get into maybe that 4-5 series where you catch Oklahoma City looking ahead, maybe a round too early, that's kind of scary. So I think it's really exciting that they're both good. Again, more good teams means more good basketball, and that's really what we want. But if I had to pick one of those two, I lean towards the Warriors being a lot more viable this postseason.
I love to hear it. 35-1 on the Warriors right after the trade to win it all. I don't know if they get there. It feels like I'm going Hedge City there, but a team that's a pretty big number that has championship pedigree. The Milwaukee Bucks are 45-1, Noops. I know they haven't been good. I know the defense has been bad. They made a bit of a surge recently, stumbled last night. Do you think the Bucks are capable of putting this thing together in the East and going on a run?
I do not, and I look forward to betting against the Bucks in the playoffs. I think that we're looking at a team just teetering on the edge. Giannis hasn't been healthy all season. We know Dame is really working hard to try to carry this team. We'll see how they look when Portis gets back, but it's just a really thin squad. And we continue to see my buddy, Glenn Rivers, just really struggle at the end of games. I mean, everyone's looking at that photo of him and Darvin Ham staring at, the guy staring at Halliburton making that 3. And in that moment, instead of just sort of letting things roll and knowing that I've got Damian Lillard, if I call a timeout, I can get the ball across half court, and we got a chance basically to win this game, he looks at it and goes, let me try to challenge this call. let me not draw up anything, basically, so that when this free throw goes in, we have any chance to win the game. It's just such a big restriction to have someone that struggles to manage the end of these games. So I think the Bucks are toast round one. Honestly, if they could even make it past round one, I'll bet against them in round two. If anyone wants Bucks to win the East, call me. I'll give you whatever number you want.
Noops is booking you. Big guy, I'll start with you on this one. I know Noops has a couple of props. Knicks, Blazers coming up later. Who isn't playing for the Knicks tonight, Dustin? Because they're laying 3.5 at Portland. Now, Portland's playing a little better ball, but that's a short number on New York. 3.5, 227. Obviously, Brunson's out. Anybody else?
I didn't see anyone other than Brunson, unless I'm missing something here. Let me pull this up. Yeah, I don't see anything updated at the moment in that one.
Noops, how'd you break this game down?
Yeah, kind of a tough game to go through. Again, this Knicks team without Brunson is really hard to figure out. Kind of a funky schedule spot for them. They're in the middle of a road trip with a game at Golden State coming up. The Blazers coming home after a couple losses and starting to maybe look more like a tanking team than we've seen them look. But I just continue to think this is a rough spot. The Knicks are at the point where we're just sort of running out of energy here. So overall, the full game stuff looked pretty solid to me. Kind of lean towards the Blazers, lean towards the over there. But I think the best way to bet Portland is early in the game. They've been really solid in the first half so far this year. You take a look in the first half, they're getting 2.5 points against the Knicks team that has really been more of a second and third quarter team than sort of a first half team. And without Brunson, again, we've seen them really struggle here. So as much as I think the Knicks, if they can finally get healthy, maybe we'll see how things go tonight. It's a tough spot for them. You've got Portland back at home with all the reason in the world to try to play the hell out of this game. So give me the Blazers in the first half. I think that's the best way to see how this goes.
I just saw Jeremy Grant was ruled out for the Blazers. I had this play ahead of time, VSiN.com/picks. Knicks are not good against shooting guards, allow a lot of buckets to them. I'm looking at right now, they're about 8th in the league in points allowed to shooting guards. Shade on Sharp over 17.5 points I went with in this matchup, where I think it'll be a close game. They're at home and he shoots a little bit better at home. So Sharp is the play at over 17.5 points.
There you go. Do either of you see a side and total posted for OKC and Boston yet? Dustin, you got anything on that?
For the second half line?
Yeah, second half side and total.
Yep, I've got it right here. You've got Boston laying 1.5. That's juiced at -125, and the total is well, that's not right. It says 116.5. Yeah, I guess that's right.
Yeah, well, so it's 63-60 at the break. Noops, I know you mentioned you'd do something with that halftime number.
Yeah, I think that second half total's a little bit too high, and I'm trying to hit refresh here. It's actually bounced up. I'm looking at 118
117.5 I'm seeing. I'm seeing 117.
Yeah. I think that this game's going to end up being a grind here, and I'm just going to bet that right now while we're talking. I like that. I'm looking at 118. That looks really solid. Again, I think this is a spot where we're going to see Boston maybe slow things down, try to clamp down a bit, and I'm just not sure if the shooting efficiency we've seen here can keep up. So I like this second half under.
Yeah, 63-60, so 123 scored in the first, but that was Boston taking like 43s. It's not going to keep up. 117.5, 118 on the total. I like the under there as well. Noops.
They also got out rebounded, I should note, 25-16 in the first half, Boston.
Yeah, look, you got Hartenstein, and now you got your boy Chet. I don't know if you can play them together, but that's a lot of size. That I love watching OKC. Noops Christensen, FTN NBA betting analyst, FTNfantasy.com @_Noops. Good luck with the plays, Noops. Good to see you. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolute pleasure, gentlemen. Best of luck till we speak again.
Okay, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you, Noops. We got Matt McCall, of course, former coach, college basketball. He does a great job for the Field of 64. Field of 68, I guess they're calling it now. I guess I should correct myself. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll get you updated on the college games and NFL free agency next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
All right, the big guy, Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Maher as we welcome you back. If you're streaming live on YouTube, we appreciate it. Ryan, of course, Naya helping out today. As far as free agency, a lot of this now is just like, I'm not going to be reporting offensive linemen. Cut me some slack here, people. But I did see Evan Ingram sign a 2-year deal.
Okay.
With Denver.
So I love that move. And it's kind of random, but think about this. Evan Ingram is not really a tight end. He's not really a receiver. And now he's going to go play for Sean Payton, who I just want to remember Jimmy Graham, kind of an oddball, like a 6'10", whatever he was, 6'7", former basketball player, tight end, found out to make him into basically a Hall of Famer. Also took a guy, Marcus Colston, who was a tight end at Hofstra, turned him into a receiver. He led the league in receiving yards at some point, or receptions. He was a beast in New Orleans for Sean Payton. If someone can figure out how to get Evan Ingram and maximize that talent, it's someone like Sean Payton who thinks outside the box and doesn't see a position. He sees a football player.
Also, Darius Slay has signed a 1-year deal with the Steelers, so stays in the state of Pennsylvania. Of course, started in the Super Bowl. He is now a Steeler, former Lion, and then Eagle, of course. Cooper Kupp's tenure in L.A. is officially done as he was released. Thank you, Coop. The Rams said as he was released by the Rams. We don't have quarterback news to pass along right now. Anything else that you're seeing as far as free agency you'd like to pass along?
Now, I'm curious what the market is for Cooper Kupp. You have to imagine contenders are going to be in on him, right? Like, that's the move. I also just saw Harrison Smith is coming back for another year. Harrison Smith, the safety in Minnesota. I believe it's year, 14? Yeah, 14th NFL season. He just announced via Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero he is returning to the Vikings for another season.
All right, there it is, free agency. Our buddy Matt McCall, Coach McCall, is going to join us at the top of the hour. Field to 68. My man is grinding. It's that time of the year. Just quickly, an update here. Rutgers got doubled up here. USC out to a 24-12 start over Rutgers in the Big Ten. Elsewhere, we are still waiting on, the big one tonight with the bubble teams, Oklahoma and Georgia. That's coming up in about a half hour. UCF, Kansas. Kansas is in. Yesterday when I was doing it, I had, 6 from the Big 12, 8 from the SEC, 6 or 7 locks from the Big 10, and just 3 from the ACC. When we come back, Coach Matt McCall joins us here. VSiN Live. It's Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Conference tournament time, of course, Selection Sunday coming up this Sunday. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher as we welcome you back here, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. We're going to welcome in our friend and hardest working man in college hoops, Coach Matt McCall, of course, Chattanooga head coach, UMass head coach, now SiriusXM, of course, and Field of 68 college basketball analyst. You can check out Coach McCall in studio on NBC for A10 action and Peacock for the Big East all week. Coach McCall, I asked you before during the break, are you tired yet? And you said, hell no, you're ready to go.
No, man, come on. When we get to this point in time, Patrick, we're running on adrenaline. It's like when you're coaching, okay? You're running on adrenaline. Well, when I was a coach, when the clock hit 0 and the adrenaline stopped, it was like, oh, we'd get sick and like we'd like be in bed for 2 days. No, man, we're right ready to go. Conference tournament time, championship week. I got the American game on right now. Coach Simpkins, the environment in the Patriot League, they got a home court advantage going on here. Americans about to punch their ticket over Navy, it looks like. It's just the best. It's the best time of year.
Beginning of the chaos, right? Navy made a run. Beating Bucknell. I don't think anyone saw that coming, and now American's going to end up winning the league. Coach, you've been through this before. And we have so many of these leagues have gotten so big, and these teams get these extra buys, right? They get to sit around and wait for their opponent. Do you find that teams that got a game under their belt can come out and play pressure-free because they've already played, or you think that like the tiredness wears on them early?
So I said it tonight in the studio because LaSalle knocked off UMass, and LaSalle gets ready to play St. Joe's tomorrow, who St. Joe's has enough talent to win the Atlantic 10 tournament, no question about it. But they have played a game in that arena in Washington, D.C., where St. Joe's has not yet. And sometimes that can be an advantage. And to me, just with the basketball gods, with Fran Dunphy, an absolute living legend. Like we talk about these legends walking away from the game, the Krzyzewskis, the Roy Williams, the Jay Wrights, the Jim Boeheims, the Leonard Hamiltons, the Tony Bennettts. Fran Dunphy, if you talk to any college basketball coach across the country, they will tell you he's one of the best guys, human beings in all of college basketball. So I like this LaSalle team tomorrow. They've already played a game. It just seems like the stars are lining for Coach Dumpf. And look, I do think there's an advantage for some teams. Now, look, if there's a talent discrepancy, then it's not even going to matter. But when you've played a game already in there, you're a little more confident. You're a little more confident in the arena. The game's going to be close. Like, that's the thing about it. When you're a team that's just sitting there waiting, you're waiting in the quarterfinals, and these other teams are playing, you can't think that you're just going to automatically blow a team out because you have a bye. The game's going to be close. And I would say that across all of these conference tournaments.
Well, you mentioned Duke, Coach. North Carolina on the bubble. They did beat Notre Dame today, 76-56. I want to ask you about the ACC. Like, we remember the days when they'd put – half their league into the tournament. This year, Clemson's in, Duke's in, obviously, Louisville's in, and then the only bubble team I have is North Carolina. What do you attribute the down year in the ACC to?
Well, Patrick, I think it's a lot with just the turnover that we've had from a coaching standpoint. And I tell people this all the time. What Pat Kelsey and what Dusty May are doing in year one of their jobs is very, very difficult, and that's a credit to both of them. But the ACC has lost legends, absolute legends. I mean, Jim Larinaga left in whenever it was, November, December. Jim Larinaga is a legend. He's a legend at Miami. Leonard Hamilton, the last 4 or 5 years for Florida State hasn't been great, but he's a legend. Tony Bennett decides to walk away in October. I was Tony Bennett's last interview for SiriusXM at the ACC Media Day, me and Roy Philpott. Take credit for that. Don't take credit for him retiring. Take credit for his last interview. So you just see these guys. And some of the timings of these, retirements, Larinaga's, Tony Bennett's, Virginia and Miami have always been near the top of the ACC. That's part of the reason that the league is down. That's the only reason, is that we've had turnover in coaches. Jim Boeheim at Syracuse, Coach Autry trying to get it back to a level. Coach Autry's never been a head coach and he's getting into this role, which is very difficult to take over for a guy like Jim Boeheim. So I think you can attribute it to that, and some of the timing of these guys walking away too. That's not easy for these interim guys to walk into.
So it feels inevitable Duke's going to win the league, right? Like minus 390 to win the ACC. But right underneath them, you have Louisville about 5-1. Clemson was plus 650. What do you think of Brad Brownell's squad right now? Because it feels like they're a team built for this time of year. Do you believe Clemson has enough to make another deep run in the dance?
I think Brad Brownell is the most underrated coach in the entire country. And I don't know if Clemson fans appreciate him enough. I really don't. Coming off the run that they went on last year, and then they lose P.J. Hall, and they're sitting here in the position that they are, going back to the NCAA tournament again. I love Chase Hunter. I what he brings to the table for this team. So, yeah, I mean, this is a team that could win the ACC tournament. There's no question about it. I just think Coach Brownell needs to be way more appreciated for that Clemson fan base. And if you're Indiana, if you're the Hoosiers, he's your first phone call. He is your first phone call. Pick up the phone and call Coach Brownell and make him tell you no, because I believe him and his wife are both from that area. Just make sure the guy tells you no. But look, it is this Clemson team's for real. Coming off what they lost last year in the season that they have to be back in the position again this season, that's a tribute to Coach Brownell.
Coach Matt McCall joining us here. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, and our boss here at Mad Dog Sports Radio, Steve Torrey, his daughter went to Indiana. He's obsessed with Indiana hoops, and he's a dude that gets stressed. So let's talk about their matchup tomorrow. Oregon. Indiana either in or certainly a win against Oregon would get them in, right, Coach?
I think they're in right now with the way that they handled business coming down the stretch. Once Coach Woodson announced his retirement after the season, they handled business. Losing at Oregon late in the year, that's not a bad loss. What would have been a bad loss and knocked them out of the tournament had they lost to Washington. That would have been a bad loss. Washington's not very good. Danny Sprinkle's a great coach. He's going to get it right there at Washington, but they were just not a very good basketball team this season, and Indiana took care of business. And then again, they took care of business at home the last game of the regular season. I think they're in. Regardless of what happens tomorrow against Oregon, obviously a win would make everybody feel a little bit better if you're a Hoosier fan, but I think they should be in the field right now. For me, the team that I'm still have a lot of question marks about on whether or not they're an NCAA tournament team is Texas. I know they beat Vanderbilt today. I know they did. But they at times have not looked like an NCAA tournament team throughout the course of the season. And for me, a win against, Vanderbilt today, they need another one. I think Indiana's already in the field.
Okay, I just texted Dustin. I just texted Torrey while Coach was. I said we've got Coach Matt McCall on. He says Indiana is in because he's freaking out right now. He's got one kid that went to Indiana. He's got a Colorado son who plays Houston tomorrow, so they're done. And he's got another son down at Alabama today, so he's got it all covered there. Go ahead, Dustin.
And more importantly, does he want Brad Brownell? Because I would love that hire. I love Brad Brownell. That team's awesome every year. So you mentioned Texas, Coach. Oklahoma beats them over the weekend. Oklahoma on the bubble, taking on Georgia, who I guess isn't on the bubble, but if there's a bid stealer out there, maybe falls back into the bubble. Georgia right now is laying 3.5. That game starts in about 20 minutes. The total's 146.5. How do you see this matchup going for the Sooners and the Dogs?
Man, I mean, if you look at Georgia, I don't know, whatever it was, 3 or 4 weeks ago, they were sitting there and their best wins in the SEC after they had knocked off Kentucky and Oklahoma. They went on that 4-game losing streak, and then they only beat South Carolina and LSU. Like, they were on the outside looking in. Alabama blew them the doors off them. I think it was a 21, 22-point lead or 22-point win, and then they lost 4 games in a row again. So it's like up until they knocked off the Florida Gators, this Georgia team, you're looking at it like, are they an NCAA tournament team? And then they beat Georgia, they beat Texas, they beat South Carolina, and they beat Vanderbilt. And when you do that and you have a win against a Kentucky team, you have a win against the St. John's team, you're an NCAA tournament team. Mike White has righted the ship. His team is playing well. They're playing well at the right time. And that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see your team not peaking in November, not peaking in December, but peaking in March. Then you flip it on the other side with this Oklahoma team. And outside of the 2 wins late in the year against Missouri and Texas, and they needed that win against Texas, it wasn't looking great for them. Now, the stretch that they had where they played at Auburn, Tennessee, at Missouri, and they lose to LSU, the second worst team in the SEC, you're thinking, is Oklahoma a tournament team? I think Georgia has way more momentum right now. Georgia is trending upwards right now in terms of the way that they're playing in Mike White's squad. That's the only reason I would give them the nod over this one. Great win against Missouri for Oklahoma, but I just feel like Georgia, they've righted the ship. And look, I said this the other day, I think St. John's is a Final Four. If I had a bracket in front of me right now, I'm putting St. John's in the Final Four regardless of who they're playing against. Regardless. St. John's in the Final Four. Zuby Ejiofor, R.J. Lewis, the player of the year in the Big East. Zuby Ejiofor, how he's able to defend and switch 1 through 5. I'm putting them in the Final Four. Georgia beat St. John's. Albeit early in the season, they beat them. So I like Georgia in this matchup against Oklahoma.
Tremendous. Coach Matt McCall, SiriusXM Field is 68. He's going to be in studio on NBC for the A-10 tournament. Peacock for Big East all week. Of course, formerly Chattanooga, UMass. Okay, so Torrey replied. I told him Coach got Indiana in. He said, I wish Coach was on the committee. I guess we'll see. Texas winning today didn't help. Ohio State losing should knock them out. 6Q1 wins. And metrics are decent, but 15 losses. Come on. See, I opened the floodgates. I shouldn't have sent him
You opened the floodgates. You did.
He's stressing.
Six quad, and not a bad loss. That's the thing with Indiana. If you're on the committee, they don't have a bad loss. Like, why we're still talking about North Carolina as a bubble team with 1 quad 1 win. Indiana has 6. They're in.
Now, a team that has more, and I know a coach that you respect a lot. It stuck out to me when I saw the first team all Big Ten announced, and there were 0 Michigan State players. And there's your boy Tom Izzo. You're not going to out-rebound him. You're not going to defend him, out-defend him. What he's done with this team, and he's done an amazing job, 1 million Final Fours, this is insane this year.
But is it really? Because this team reflects his personality. And while everyone's out there complaining about NIL, complaining about transfer portal, and you see there are teams out there where you see there are clear issues in the locker room. There are clear issues. And what the issues in the locker room could be, and I went on a rant about this the other night on the Field of 68, the issues could be, why is he making more money than me? Why are you running plays and actions for him and you're not running them for me? Why am I only getting 8 shots a game and this guy's getting 14 or 15? It's the locker room, especially when you see guys that are really, really good coaches. You see Hall of Fame coaches and their teams are struggling. Those guys haven't forgotten how to coach. It's what's going on in that locker room. Then you look at Michigan State. You don't have a superstar. You have 8 or 9 really good players. You have a team that plays with great pace on the offensive end of the floor. You have a team that has 8 or 9 guys averaging between 7 and 13 or 14 points. You have a freshman in Jace Richardson whose dad is one of the best players to ever play at the university. And you know what? He's not a helicopter parent. He's not, why is my son not starting the beginning of the season? This coach is screwing my son. No. Hey, man, you better get back to work because I know what Tom Izzo's all about. Really need to see in Jason Richardson the relationship. He's at every game. He's supporting the team behind the bench, but he's not one of these parents that's like, you better run more actions for my son. You better do that. That's why this team is so good. They're unselfish. They play really hard. They play the right way. And they have Tom Izzo, an absolute legend, as their head coach.
And the vibes are crazy. The vibes are crazy with Sparty.
The vibes are crazy.
The number is shorted up completely. They were 40-1 like 3 weeks ago to win the title. They're down to like 20, 22-1. I want to talk vibes too with another matchup tomorrow. Big East, Marquette taking on Xavier. Ooh. I don't know what's going on with Marquette of late. They're one of those teams that you mentioned peaked at the wrong time. Xavier and Sean Miller, Feels like he's figuring things out. Marquette's laying 2.5. Total's 144.5. How do you feel about the matchup and the vibes with Marquette and Xavier?
Well, you know what? I agree with you just in terms of the vibes with Xavier. And I would say this about this Xavier team. They haven't been healthy. And when you look at what Fremantle has gone through in his career, it's been this roller coaster of emotions just in terms of his health. I mean, he missed almost a year and a half of playing basketball. And now he's back out there. He's back out there healthy, getting over 17 points per game. The big guards, how physical they are, Swain, Cronwell. I mean, these guys are really good. How they guard, pick and roll, how aggressive. And then Sean Miller's a mastermind on the offensive end of the floor. To see Xavier playing their best basketball at the end of the season here is really good. If you're a Xavier fan, I just don't see how we don't get a Danny Hurley-Patino Big East tournament final matchup. I just don't see how we don't get it. I feel like we're destined right now for UConn, St. John's in the Garden on Sunday. I think that's what we get.
Coach, we had Ken Pomeroy, on last week, I believe it was. And, you know, he does all the metrics, all the numbers. And he's been doing it for a long time. And he said, I'll get curious to get your reaction. He said in his years of doing the numbers, Auburn and Duke are historic, and Houston's not far behind. Your eyeballs as a coach, do those three teams add up to not just good teams, great teams?
Well, I would agree with him just in terms of the numbers, the metrics of an Auburn team with the 16 quad one wins. I mean, have we ever seen that? And who's the next closest team? Is it Duke where they have 6 or 7? To see the historic wins that Auburn have gone on where you can lose 2 games, literally 3. They could lose in the quarters on Friday and probably still be the overall number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. I don't think we've ever seen that. This Duke team, you know, the question marks, everyone keeps talking about the ACC and how down the ACC is, and is this team for real? No, this team is for real because every single time they line up and play, they're blowing these teams out, and that's what they're supposed to do if you're that much better. John Shire, look, take nothing away from Pat Kelsey and Louisville and what they did this season. John Shire should have been ACC Coach of the Year. I know the turnaround. I know how hard it is when you're year one. We talked about it earlier, but John Shire should have been ACC Coach of the Year, in my opinion. Those are the 2 best teams in the country. But the team that I feel like we got to talk about a little bit more, and I don't have Gator goggles on. I don't want to I got to take my Gator goggles off because I'm an alum, because I went there and worked there for 11 years. But this Florida team, they went into Auburn and beat the Tigers without Elijah Martin. They went into Coleman Coliseum and beat Alabama. I just feel like we're not talking enough about them and their legit chances to win a national championship. They have balance. They have great guard play. They have size up front. They're one of the best offensive teams in the entire country. They have improved immensely on the defensive end of the floor. I mean, that's the team. That's the team right now that I'm like, this is the most dangerous team in the country.
So, Coach, you'll like this because for bettors, Florida's been the team for weeks. And it's partially because of the value, the number you can bet them. So Duke's the favorite to win it all, plus 320. Auburn second, plus 380. Florida is 7-1, more than double those odds. Why can Florida make this run? Why are they special?
They're special because of their backcourt, for one. Walter Clayton, Will Richard, and Elijah Martin. And I was at practice in October, and I was sitting there and I was saying, okay, if Elijah Martin can be the Elijah Martin of the FAU run to the Final Four. He didn't have a great year last year at FAU. He was struggling. He was battling injuries. He was struggling with expectations. If he can get back to the guy that everyone saw guide FAU to the Final Four 2 years prior, and him, Will Richard, and Walter Clayton can coexist, this team is extremely dangerous. I give credit to the Florida staff just in terms of what they did in the transfer portal. Bringing in a guy like Chinleyu to help you on the defensive end of the floor because their defense last year was not very good. They addressed those issues. Condon now being healthy. They have size. They have physicality. They have great guard play. They can shoot it from three. My biggest thing would be they haven't been in close games. Like really, really close games coming down the stretch. That's why I think the SEC tournament, I want to see them play a close game. I want to see what happens when it's a one-possession game and they have to go get a bucket. I want to see what happens when it's a one-possession game and they got to get a stop. That would be my only concern with Florida right now, because even when they went into Alabama, they controlled the game from the jump. Even when they went into Auburn, they controlled the game from the jump. What happens if they're down 4 with a minute to go? Can they respond and find a way to win?
A couple of years, with this last question, Coach, a couple of years ago, before the tournament started, Dusty, you correct me if I'm wrong, Coach came on and said Florida Atlantic.
Yes,
before the tournament started, and they went on a Final Four run. Now, he'll remind you of it, but he was way ahead of the curve, Coach. And Dusty may flip that into the Michigan gig, which is not too bad, not too shabby. I bring that up because that was incredible. If I said who's Florida Atlantic this year, can you pick a team?
Oof. I just that's a tough one. You know, my heart wants to say New Mexico, but if Richard Pitino's tuning into this, he would be so mad at me that I would even bring up New Mexico. I think I did that one time, and then I ended up losing 3 games in a row, and I got a text message from Richard, and he was very upset with me, who's a close friend of mine. You just watch that team play and the unselfishness of how the ball moved around the floor, and they didn't care who took the shot. And I think that was the problem last year for that FAU squad, was all these expectations that came into the season with what they did the previous year. You could see it. And you get the agents involved. You get people in your ear, and you got to get this amount of shots, whatever it may be. But that FAU team was special because they were hungry. Nobody was talking about them, and you could see it when they play. But I would say this again about this New Mexico team. To see what they lost and to lose a player like Toppin, who's having an unbelievable season for Texas Tech, to lose what they did last year and then have this team playing at the level again that they are this year in the Mountain West, New Mexico's really, really good. Can they make a run all the way to the Final Four? I don't know, but they continue to win games, and that Mountain West League is as competitive as most leagues. Lock for you, like I did the last time we did this with FAU. I don't have a lock, but I love what Richard Pitino. It's the year of the Pitino. It's the year of the Pitino. So,
well, Coach,
the Lobos.
You do have St. John's in the Final Four, and I mean this for people that weren't listening to the VSiN show back then. I've never seen a dude so confident about a team that some casual fans hadn't even heard of, and he was just like, Florida Atlantic's going to the Final Four, and they went to the Final Four. Matt McCall, Coach McCall, SiriusXM, Field of 68. We can watch him in studio for NBC, A10 conference tourney, and on Peacock for the Big East all week. Coach Matt McCall on Twitter. You're the best, man. Let's do it again before the big dance starts.
Appreciate you guys for sure, 100%, and it's the best time of year. There's no greater month. There's no greater month. You know, we got the Players' Championship going on in golf. We got March Madness, conference tournaments. We're going to get a bracket on Sunday. There is no better month in all of sports than March.
Let's freaking go. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon. There goes Coach McCall, who is he's been kind to us, man. Now, obviously, SiriusXM and Mad Dog Sports Radio. He was coming on our VSiN show, and Dustin, you remember that as well. He said, Florida Atlantic, fellas, I'm telling you, this team's going to make a run, so get your futures in. And they made a hell of a run. That's one of the better predictions, and I've been doing it for a long time, that I've had anybody come on and just straight up say.
And they just kept going further. It was one thing like to win the first, like let's look up that path, that Florida Atlantic path to the Final Four, because
let's see, first off, they went 31-3.
Well, that's crazy. But he was on them in the regular season. He told us before like conference play even began that he loved them. So, I mean, he knew them, and he's living down there too. So he got to see them up close and personal.
Oh, that's right. They beat Kansas State in the Elite Eight at MSG, and then they just barely lost to San Diego State. That's the year San Diego State made the finals.
Oh, and then think about this. So they beat Memphis, who was good. They beat them by a point. Then because Fairleigh Dickinson upset Purdue, that was their draw, but that was an 8-point game. That was kind of tight. Then they beat Tennessee. They beat Kansas State, and then you're right. San Diego State's where it ended by 1 point. By what? They were 2 points away from going to the championship.
I hear you, Donkey Kong. By the way, we got a goal 3 minutes in CONCACAF, and then they finished the first half scoreless the rest of the way. Still have 45 minutes to play to get 2 goals. We're doing okay. We want to get 1 in the first. We can get 2 in the second, big guy.
Well, it feels like there's more scoring in the second, right? Am I crazy? Like that feels like the vibe. Like because one team's sitting back, the other team's being ultra aggressive. So we should get 1 more, and then we're at a tie. Who wants to tie? There's an American team involved. They're not playing for a tie. Tying is un-American.
It is. The Thunder lead 91-90 over Boston. We were all over the Thunder. We were also, unfortunately, all over Rutgers, and they were getting killed. Let's see. They're at the break. USC Rutgers. Oh, they're only down 9. So they're in the mix. 41-30. USC leads.
Yeah, look. I mean, the reason you're betting Rutgers is because you're betting on that backcourt. We're both going to go in the NBA draft. They're both going to go in the top 10. So that's your hope there, is that they turn it on when it matters. I'm curious what they're doing in this game. Let's see. Harper has 10 points, 3 boards, 3 assists. Ace Bailey, 6 points, 5 rebounds. So,
Hey, Don.
We need more offense.
Did that switch? You and Aaron both like Oklahoma coming up in 2 minutes. Did Coach talking about Georgia take you off him at all? Because it sounds like he loves Georgia.
Yeah, that was the beginning of his vibes talk, is he loves the Georgia vibe. So I'm a little concerned because if we're being totally transparent on the show, which we are nothing but, I've watched Oklahoma play 1 game this year, and it was on Saturday. So that's where we're at.
Where's that game played?
Nashville.
Georgia. You guys are
you went MapQuest? How far away are we?
Well, no, I just know that Nashville's close to Georgia. Let's go. There's going to be a bunch of freaking – hold on. I got to bet on this.
Well, one of us should be right. One of us should be right about the game. So I'm okay with you going on the opposite side, because I didn't like Coach's vibe. Coach is all about Mike White in Georgia. Although little biased because Mike White was at Florida.
Yeah, he was at Florida Mike White was at Florida, and Coach coached under Mike White at Florida, I believe.
Yeah, so that would track. That's why.
All right, well, we'll keep you updated there. NFL free agency as well. You want to do your core 4? Is that what you want next?
Yeah, let's break down the AL Central, where I've got 4 bets in this league, and one of them got the juices flowing.
I know the team. It got your boy happy. Dustin's divisional breakdown. ALC Central, get excited, people. Core 4 next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
With Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
Hey, BBG, bumpers be generic. Listen, Naya's got to do what she's got to do. And she's laughing right now back in New York City because she's got to play these bumpers now that we're streaming on YouTube. Shout out to Ryan. She's got to play these bumpers that are generic or YouTube will flag us. But that bumper be generic.
You had me wondering.
I don't even know if I think that's AI playing a guitar.
It's definitely a robot. I thought maybe you gave out a new porn category I hadn't heard of with BBG. I know BBW, but I didn't know what BBG was. Apparently, it doesn't exist.
Hey, when I moved to Rio de Janeiro, BBL.
But it's natural. It's a natural BBL. It just exists.
That's what I was wondering. Before I moved to Brazil, do they call it a Brazilian butt lift because the women in Brazil all get butt lifts, or because they're emulating the padunkadunk?
Was it Brazilian? That's a good question. Butt lift. Invented.
Hey, while you look that up, I
Brazil?
want to let everybody know that VSiN is free until Selection Sunday. You can sign up today at VSiN.com/champweek and enjoy full VSiN Pro access. People have been raving. Here's the thing. We just want you to get over there and see it because we know you're going to love it. And so what we did was we took down the paywall. There's no cost. There's no commitment. Daily best bets to help you cash more tickets. Exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circus Sportsbook. 24/7. Full video access. I mean, literally everything. And it costs nothing. You get the picks every day. VSIN.com/champweek. Let them know we sent you here. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
I have some bad news. I have bad news. And it's that the Brazilian butt lift was invented in Brazil in the late 20th century under the name gluteal sculpture. So no, it's not emulating the butts you see in Brazil. It was invented in Brazil.
Okay.
Does that
Here's the
stop you at all?
I think in South America, I think Brazil is I think somebody's got to help me because I'm going to go on vacation. I think like some countries, they laugh at the idea of what's popping. You know what I'm saying? And then there's other countries, maybe like a Colombia, that's like the real deal. But like people are just like, Mexico, they don't pop.
I think they do. I just think they're so close to us.
They pop compared to America.
Yeah. But I get Colombia definitely pops. Brazil definitely pops. It does feel like, though, what you're going for in the BBL world does naturally exist, though, more in those countries than they do in America.
Let me just be very clear. I am not, like I told you yesterday when you admitted that you dye your beard, which, by the way, I was thinking about that today.
I don't anymore, though.
You admitted you dye your beard, and then you go, and I go, well, yeah, I mean, it comes from, like, obviously, if you're a dude, just let it ride. Nobody cares. It's sophisticated to have a little blonde. And you go, well, and I said, you know, we do stuff like that out of insecurity. You go, well, the only reason I dyed it is because it made it look fuller.
It did. It looked so much better.
Like, right, but why would anybody dye anything? To make it look better.
But it had nothing to do with how other people perceived it. It's my eyeballs. I thought it looked better. You immediately told me, hey, man, it doesn't.
Well, it looked like you shined your shoes, and then you said, hey, I got left over, and then you applied it up on the dome piece. Hey, but anyway, I only bring it up not to shame you. I bring it up because I think you look great the way God made you, and that's how I approach my BBLs. You understand?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. You don't want PEDs. I've never
been to a strip club. Like, you and I differ in this regard. You're okay with fake up top.
For sure.
I'm not. It doesn't do anything for me. So if I'm not okay with fake up top, why would I be cool with it down low?
That does kind of go with your hippie nature, though, right? Because
it's not hippie. I like hippie. Natural. How is that hippie?
Because plastic's bad for the environment.
Hold on. Let me explain, Mr. Co-host. In my brain, it makes me. I like it better thinking natural.
Because you're getting a real person. It's not man-made.
Yeah, that's hot.
I understand.
Anybody can go to a doctor. Anybody can dye their beard. All right.
Well, I mean, also walk down the street in LA. You'll see the same face on a woman 3 or 4 times in a walk.
Yeah, but your boy's not doing that.
You're not into it. I agree. I'm not into it either.
So, hey, that's just me. You do you. Life is short. I'm not trying to judge anybody. I just want to go to a South American country where the butt lift isn't the thing. Let's get to the American League Central breakdown. A little bit of a transition from a pro. Thank you very much. From BBLs to ALCS. No. from BBLs to the AL Central. And let's speed this one up on these bad teams.
Yeah, you don't like additions up top or down below. I would tell you AL Central teams don't like many additions to their roster because that's a theme when it comes to looking at these off seasons. These teams are not adding players that matter. It's pretty
terrible division.
This is a division that you look at and you go, yeah, baseball needs a salary cap or salary floor. Like there's an issue happening here. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on the White Sox. They're going to be historically bad. 53.5 is the win total. They're 250-1 to win the division, I think, or 25-1. Sorry, 25-1 to win the division. 201 to win the pennant. They lost.
They're going to be
best
historically
player.
bad. The White Sox are going to be historically bad again.
Yeah, they lost their best player in Garrett Crochet. They're not worth watching. They're not worth talking about. On to the next one, which is the Cleveland Guardians. Win total, 82.5. 3-1 to win the division. 14-1 to win the pennant. 40-1 to win the World Series. You have to remember it's second year for AL Manager of the Year, Stephen Vogt. The roster got worse, but they always seem to do more with less, and they have some young guys that are capable of stepping up. The big losses for Cleveland, they lost Josh Naylor's 31 home runs to Arizona. They lost second baseman Andres Jimenez and his defense to Toronto. What did they add? Carlos Santana is back in Cleveland again. A bunch of relief arms and Paul Sewald and Jacob Junis, who were pretty good over the last couple of years. Luis Ortiz traded for from Pittsburgh to go into the rotation. John Means comes over, but he's only pitched 4 games. He pitched 4 games last year, 53 innings over the last 3 years. He threw a no-hitter and his arm fell apart. So you look at this team, and they're relying on a lot of young guys, and that's another theme of this division. They need Kyle Manzardo taking over first base to pop. He had 20 home runs in AAA in 83 games, but struggled mightily with the power. 5 home runs, 53 games in the majors. This team is built around their bullpen, and I just don't think that's sustainable over the course of 162. So they go Clase to Cade Smith, Hunter Gaddis, Paul Sewald. I love that combo. The problem is, they're not going to get Bieber back until a few months into the season coming off Tommy John. Tanner Bybee was awesome last year. Can he maintain that? Ben Lively was a journeyman. Now he's their number 2. Tristan McKenzie fell off a cliff a year ago. I just don't trust the starting pitching and the bats to be reliable for Cleveland next year. So I am writing them off completely. Our next team is pretty trendy.
Not going to lie, the Guardians bore me. When you start highlighting a bullpen, I'm out. Veteran wide receiver Mike Williams is returning to the Chargers on a one-year deal.
He doesn't play a lot of football. That's the problem with Mike Williams.
So we're done with the White Sox and Guardians. I'm guessing the Royals are next?
Yeah, they added Jonathan India. And I looked through the roster. I don't think there's anyone else they added in the offseason. They were a good pitching team. 7th in Major League Baseball with a 3.76 ERA. They have a legit number 1 stud in Cole Reagans. They got a lot of support from Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha in the rotation a year ago. The rotation looks solid on paper, but I don't know if you can really write those guys in this year to have the same years. Bobby Witt is the new Mike Trout. He's more speed than power, but the power is certainly there. He's going to get better. But you look at this lineup, there's no depth. It's Witt, Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino. And the problem is Salvador Perez is 34 years old, and they're still relying on him to be a run producer. I am not buying the hype that goes with the Royals and their win total of 83.5 plus 270 to win the division, 13-1 to win the AL, and 31 to win the World Series. I am not feeling Kansas City.
That was a big surprise team last year, though.
It was, but I still think there's a lot of holes. And Seth Lugo, as much as I love him, he's been pitching with a tear in his elbow for like 5 years now.
Bobby Witt.
He's the truth. No, he's the truth. He's legit.
So good. But it's time for Minnesota, I'm guessing, is next.
Minnesota's your favorite in the division. 84.5 is the win total. 2-1 to win this thing. 10-1 in the AL, 25-1 in the to win the World Series. They added some depth pieces in Ty France and Harrison Bader, but this is a franchise that has one playoff series win since 2002. They have a ton of arms. Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, Woods Richardson, Paddock, David Festa. They always find bullpen guys. The problem is you can't rely on their bats. They don't stay healthy. Royce Lewis played 82 games a year ago. Carlos Correa, 86. Byron Buxton, 102. When those are your three best hitters and they're not in the lineup very much, I don't know how you could be the favorite to win the division, yet here we are with them at 2-1 to win the Central.
Dude, this division is so bad. This division stinks. It's not even aesthetically pleasing ball.
No.
We come to, I genuinely believe, last year's playoff run, if you look up the roster, was historic. I mean that. AJ Hinch can coach his you-know-what off, because the fact that he got a bunch of journeymen, and I mean journeymen, into the postseason was insane, bro. And we're talking Detroit Tigers baseball.
Their win total is 83.5. They're plus 270 to win the division, 13-1 to win the pennant, 35-1 to win the World Series. They did make a couple moves. While it may not move the needle, at least they were moves that will move in their rotation and their lineup. They brought back Jack Flaherty. They signed Gleyber Torres. They are legitimate professional baseball players. We can at least say that here.
Correct.
This team was all about starting pitching a year ago. 4th in ERA, 2nd in FIP as a staff. The bullpen was 5th in ERA. Why? Tarek Skubal might be the best pitcher in baseball.
He's a Hall of Famer.
His health is
the numbers aren't going to be there, but he's one of the best left-handers I've ever seen throw a ball.
192 innings last year. You have to hope he can build on that because he's never thrown that many before. If he does, this team's winning the division. The rotation is super strong. Skubal into Flaherty, into Reese Olson, who was awesome a year ago. You have Casey Mize and Maeda right now in the back end, but the reality is that's Jackson Job's job. Jackson Job is dominating spring training right now. They also added Jose Urquidy from Houston, so he can make an impact potentially this year. The bullpen, they found guys in Jason Foley and Bo Brisk a year ago. Andrew Chafin's reliable. Tommy Canley is super reliable as well. They bring him over. But the key about the Tigers is why I also like the Orioles the other night. It's young players. And there's this assumption that young players just are who they are. It's similar to Justin Fields and the Jets. At least you don't know what he is. That has been your talking point about Justin Fields and the Jets. There's untapped potential. Well, with the Tigers, these are young players, and the game's slowing down year after year, at bat after at bat. They're getting better. And Riley Green was already good last year. Kerry Carpenter hit 284 against righties last year and hit 18 bombs. You have a top prospect in Parker Meadows who went 20-20 in AAA in 2023. He struggled last year, but he should be more comfortable this year. Colt Keith moves to first base. The contact's going to be there. We need to see the power come around. He hit 27 bombs in the minors, just 13 last year in the majors. And then the key to this season for them, to me, offensively, is Jace Young at third base. He's Josh Young from the Rangers' brother. He has legit power. If he hits 25 to 30 home runs, this lineup has depth. But the key is we need the lineup to take some of the pressure off of that rotation. If they can do that, this team's winning the division, and they're scary in the playoffs. They also have a manager in AJ Hinch who wins on the margins. I think if you're betting this division, you're betting the Tigers because you're betting on upside, and the other teams just kind of stayed flat.
Let's go, big guy. And by the way, Spencer Torkelson, who freaking stinks. Number 1 overall pick. He's been hitting bombs in spring training. I believe he's got 4.
Hey, if that dude shows up and he's your number 5 hitter, the lineup has some depth. I think a lot of these young guys are going to hit a lot better than they did a year ago. The game's going to slow down for them. Your Tigers are the team that we don't know the ceiling of in this division. Everyone else, we kind of know what they are.
We'll come back with the core 4 bets from the AL Central, and we'll close some tabs. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
With Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
BBG, Naya. Bumper be generic. We welcome you back. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. By the way, if you tailed us on Monterey, Vancouver, we got a goal in the 56th minute. 1-1. Vancouver wins this. By the way, they were plus 650, and they're tied at ones. So let's go CONCACAF soccer. I know everybody's excited. We'll get to your core four bets, and we'll close tabs. Just quickly, I want to update you on the big NBA game. And the Thunder have opened up a 10-point lead. People, what are you doing? You looked up today, and you saw the Thunder were catching 3 and plus 130. The Celtics are not nearly, and I mean this, I'm not being disrespectful to anybody in Boston or Massachusetts, that area. The Thunder are on another level. So, no disrespect. Basketball-wise, we're down 3 with Rutgers. We were down 9 at the break. USC 50, Rutgers 47. Big guy, let's effing go.
And we have the 2 best players on the floor. So I feel good about where we're at. We have the 2 best players on the floor. That's what you want here. Backcourts win these tournaments, and they are the better backcourt. Simple as that.
Yes, sir. Hurry up. Let's get your core four, then we'll close tabs.
Yeah, this is I'll go through it pretty quickly here. The first one I already mentioned it. The Tigers to win the division plus 270. We'll move on. Let's take a long shot.
AL Central, by the way, Dustin's breakdown of the AL Central.
Royce Lewis, 65-1 to win AL MVP. If Minnesota does meet these expectations, win the division, it's because Royce Lewis stayed healthy. He's a special talent. He's 26 years old. It's his 4th season in the bigs. He just can't stay on the field. His 162-game average is 35 homers, 111 RBIs, and 825 OPS. If he ever stays healthy and he produces that, he's an MVP candidate. The next one.
Wait, real quick. Dustin, breaking news. If it doesn't work out with Purdy, the San Francisco 49ers have signed Mac Jones to a 2-year deal. So he finally ends up in San Francisco.
It completes the prophecy. This was the prophecy long ago. You want to text Lombardi, say you got it right?
Nope. No, don't. You want me to live? That's a no from me, dog.
All right.
I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Next one here, we're going to go with your Detroit Tigers. I mentioned Jace Young. The power's legit. He's going to be playing every day at third. Matt Vierling was going to be in a platoon, but he's hurt right now. I think Young steals the job, takes over every day. He has really good minor league numbers. 15 home runs, 841 OPS in 95 minor league games last year. If he hits for power, he has a shot to win AL Rookie of the Year at 18-1. And the last one here, Cole Reagan's the ace for the Royals, 25-1 to be the strikeout leader in Major League Baseball. He was 5th last year with 223 in just 186 innings, 4th in baseball, K per 9 at 10.8. 25-1 is a massive number for a guy who strikes out a million batters.
Good job, big guy. Core four, good breakdown of the AL Central. It's not easy to do because that division stinks. And by the way, I just realized, and it's been like an hour since I popped the Zin. Hey, Zin, we're streaming on YouTube now. Let's get a deal for your boy. I'll do live reads. Let's get some rev in. Nobody pushes a product like me.
They call them testimonials, Patrick. Testimonials.
Nobody pushes a product like your boy. No need to hit the open, Nia. Let's go ahead and close tabs. Big guy, what do you got?
So you mentioned Sierra earlier, Russell Wilson's wife, singer, and you couldn't say her name. And at first I was like, how does he not know her name? And then I realized I don't know any of her songs. I looked them up. Level Up, 1 2 Step, Oh, Never. I don't know any of her songs.
I'll just say this. She is one of the most beautiful
she's gorgeous.
Ever existed.
She's gorgeous.
And she's dating. She's married to Russell Wilson,
who is a donk.
Look it up in the doc. Look up a donkey in the dictionary and Russell Wilson.
In the donctionary, Russell Wilson is the original
Correct.
donk. He's the donkest donk to ever donk. Al from White Plains called us Butch and Sundance. I've never seen Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, so I asked Google what made them special. Said the on-screen chemistry between Butch and Sundance made both the movie and their friendship iconic. The two men were outlaws, but they were perfectly paired outlaws. Their buddy dynamic is brought to life beautifully by the perfectly paired Newman and Redford. Their chemistry engages and charms viewers, even though the two friends often act like cads. I don't know what a cad is, but apparently that's what you and I are. C-A-D, cads.
I think it just means dicks. By the way, here's the thing about Butch and the Sundance Kid. I think they were like cowboys. We can't be Butch and the Sundance Kid. You know why?
Why?
Cowboys don't dye their beard.
We're the Brokeback Mountain version of Butch and Sundance.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever you say. But I'm just saying. What else you got?
Noops Christensen came on, used the phrase bearish and bullish. I never know the difference because, truthfully, both animals are pretty scary to me. So bullish is a person that acts with the belief that prices will rise. Bearish, investors act like the prices will fall. But both animals
You're bullish on a stock, you think it's good. You're bearish on a stock, you think it's bad.
Yeah, but I think a bear could take a bull in a fight.
I'm not playing that game, dude. This is not Barstool. I'm not playing your stupid game. Figure out if a hot dog's a sandwich. I'm 47 years old. It can't happen. It won't happen. All right, Naya, thank you. Ryan, thank you. Big guy, thank you. Matt McCall, Aaron Halterman, and Noops Christensen, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. See ya.
Okay.